past price action and different ways patterns and structures play out. For myself, this is a very, very exciting time. I look at this as one of the best buying opportunities we're going to get, probably for the next lifetime of Bitcoin. So I would say we are setting up for the best opportunity that we could have going into the absolutely explosive growth that the market will unquestionably see as this adoption growth curve continues to expand over the next 4, 6, 8 years. It just happens exponentially. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit and where we're at with price action. And then we also want to talk about a lot of people, of course, Bitcoin is a director of the market in terms of it almost gives like the pulse and the temperature of not everything, but for the large part, most of the market sort of plays off the health and price action of what's happening with Bitcoin. So how do we play alts in this sort of situation, in this scenario, when there's a major market correction on something like Bitcoin in this sort of instance? And then furthermore, all of us want the biggest gains ever. So in order to get the biggest gains, we're also very interested in microcap. So how the heck do you pick the best microcap, and how, like, what are the true metrics that you look at if you're trying to pick something that's going to have the best case scenario, the best statistics, the probability to have a winning bet on something when it is very early on? By microcap, I mean sub 200 million market cap, or and small mid caps are well as well, but I'm talking about the super micro caps. But so we're going to go through all that, and with that, I'll just I've done my introduction, and again, I want to welcome everybody as everybody's piling in here. And Crypto Vet, how you doing? How'd your New Year start? And let's get this started.
Oh, hey, yeah. No, my New Year's was great. I hope everybody else's is going well as well. Kelly, it's great to be back. I'm sad I missed you last week. I was actually in Utah, stuck on I-85, I think it was, in a snowstorm. So it was a little tough trying to get back in time, but ended up like pulling into Texas right as the Twitter space started, and that was right where I don't have cell phone service. So we gave it a good go.
Oh, absolutely, man.
But
So I'm so happy you're back, though. I was kind of bummed you weren't there last week, but we had some great guests on last week. We had, and I'm not sure because we didn't record it, so I'm not even sure because we actually hadn't talked this last week because both you and I were friends. But crypto and entrepreneurship and just living life is it can be juggling 42 balls in half a hand sometimes. So last week we had some great guests. We had Matthew Hyland, who's a great on-chain technical analysis, who's gained a lot of popularity in the last 6 months. Another guy named Blake, who also great Fibonacci technical analysis, projecting, looking retrospectively and historical action as well, projecting forward and seeing how our price action is playing out almost to a T from Fibonacci extensions all the way from the first bull market through the second bear market, first bull market through the bear market through the second bull market, and these very key levels. Which, if anybody's new to crypto, I will say one of the number one things you need to learn is it's just like it's just like an analogy on life, really. In order to understand where you could be going, it won't be exact, but you have to look back because it gives you at least some sort of plan of action to see how different correlations in price action, in technical analytical levels, whether it be RSI, MACD, whatever indicators you're using, price action movements, patterns, how they play out historically over time. And it gives you a little bit of a roadmap to what's going to happen. And as I said, it's never exact, but it's a lot more exact to having no clue. So at least you can have some sort of framework to drive down the road. To me, it's much like driving down a mountain highway with the headlights on. You don't know, you have no idea where the road's going to go, but your headlights at least illuminate the next 50, 100, 150 feet, depending on how steep the curve is that you're turning on the mountain road. But you trust those headlights because they're going to let you know enough of where the road ahead is so you can plan accordingly. And that's essentially what technical analysis is. So, I'm one of the core members of, I run all the research and do the show planning for the Crypto Jeb show. If that's new to anybody, I definitely recommend checking out. It's one of the most integral and wonderful group of people I've ever worked with. And we do a morning show every day, Monday through Friday, called Coffee and Crypto. And I see a lot of comments in chat sometimes, and I think it's due to ignorance, and that's okay because I too have been ignorant all my life. Uh, but
You're
oh,
working on it.
it's
Working
gonna
on it.
go up or it's gonna go down. Well, you know what? That is absolutely true, and you need to plan for both. And you have targets set for your longs and targets set for your shorts. And you need to plan. If you're going to bet long, you need to know what the absolute opposite direction path could be. So you already have that in mind, so you don't get caught off guard. But with that being said, we'll start with the current price action. Now, I saw a chart. I forget it's on my Twitter. I think it's one of my last. If you go to my Twitter, it's one of my last quoted retweets, and I added some info there. But it's a great TA example of looking at a fractal, which is basically a snapshot in time of a pattern that is similar to a pattern we're in now of essentially the May to end of July technical analysis on essentially what the price action was doing in the May drop through the end of July. And then the last, basically, as we call it in Wyckoff accumulation, or in this case, stone stepping reaccumulation, where we continually have lower highs, and we all of a sudden have this massive lower low that basically scares the bejesus out of every single person involved, except unless you're super experienced and you've seen this before. You realize this is that final shakeout, most likely, not 100%, but it's that final shakeout that gets you that deep lower low. We'll have a little bit of a retrace up, probably right about to 45K, and very likely get rejected at that point if we don't blast through it, and go a little bit more of a sideways diagonal down to the 43K region, and then absolute slingshot up. And the fractal that I'm speaking about here on the Twitter, the Twitter post that I reposted, is there is a bullish RSI divergence on the daily that goes all the way from the beginning of that initial massive wick down. I think in May it was down to 29K. The price retraced back up to the lower mid 30s, and then the price had to spike up to the 40 something region, and then came back down, and then came all the way down to 29 again. Essentially, the candle bodies came down to where the initial drop price wick dropped all the way down to. So in this case, and then that last 4-hour period after that final drop, which in this case on this fractal where our current price action is, we're dropping down almost exactly to where that initial drop down was on December 21st. Price action absolutely wrecked everybody's emotions and their excitement. We came back up. We went all the way up to 52, which played out similarly to the May June price action when it went from 29 up back into the lower 40s, I think. Came back down, and the price came down to 29. In this case, we went down on December 21st down to uh, right about I think 42, and we came back up all the way to 52. Now we're coming back down, and now we've actually have candle bodies down, broke below 45, and we're touching down all the way to 42.5, I think is where we went. And now we're kind of inching up a bit, but we had bullish divergence on the RSI in the May to July time period on the daily through that period. And in this case, we've had bullish divergence from the December 21st to now, and then another smaller time frame bullish divergence on that last 4 hours, which essentially is painting the high probability that we are basically fully constituting that spring that we need, that final flush out that is going to get us cleared of all the unnecessary over leverage situation and a high retail sentiment, that then the price action can be released. So that's my thoughts and what I'm seeing, and I'm as bullish as I can be. The fear and greed index says 15, extreme fear. And if any of you follow my Twitter, I went through and very poorly with bad graphic skills redid the fear and greed index, and I call it the smart money index because it's not a low 15 extreme fear. No, it is an extreme buy. So that's my thought process on this whole situation, and I'm curious to hear one, what your perception is on this crypto vet, and then also I want to again shout out TA Tim, who's one
Let's
of the
go, Tim.
co-hosts as well on Crypto Jeb. We'll get his input here in a second too. But
Yeah, what's up,
Wait, let's give
everybody?
Tim a
how about you say
second.
what's
Yeah,
up?
say hi, Tim.
Yeah, this is my first time ever being on one of these. Never got. I honestly didn't even know what the format looked like. Didn't know if you could see people on here, but this is super cool. It's
It's
like,
just a little chat room, and
yeah,
me and Kelly are probably going to record ourselves as if it's a stream, like while I'm streaming, so that way we can edit it into the Twitter space for people to watch later. But yeah, it's
cool.
just kind of a little community thing here, and yeah, anybody can come up. Like we'll get Camille up here in a second to speak and ask questions, But yeah, go ahead and say hi to everybody. Let them know who you are, where you're from, and go.
No, my name is Tim. I work with Crypto Jeb, so that's where I met Kelly. And this is the first time I've ever heard Crypto Vet's voice, so that's really cool too. I got to interact with him, in passing through comments on YouTube. But I am, I think I don't know, Kelly and Crypto Vet, you guys got to tell me. Am I allowed to say I'm no longer a noob now that I've been in for over a year, or what's the rite of passage to say
I will say this, Tim, and I mean this honestly. So I hope nobody on here takes offense either. I'll just speak honestly, so nobody has to be sweet about it. When you first joined, I've been in the crypto game since 2016, and I just happened to be following Crypto Jeb since he was probably 2,000 or 3,000 subscribers, and he's over 210,000 now.
You're the OG.
And yeah, so when you first came on, and this is the funny thing, and you and I talk about this regularly when we're talking about any change we make in the show. Nobody likes any change whatsoever because even though they might think they're upset at the change, the change is bad. The truth is the change actually isn't the bad thing. People just don't like change. And
Absolutely.
and I noticed that in myself. When you first came on, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. But you know what? That's the point. And I feel arrogant and stupid and ignorant saying that because at the end of the day, anybody and everybody on this channel listening right now, I want you to know this and I want you to take this to your heart. The whole purpose and the whole way that we can make crypto truly become mainstream and truly successful and make our bank accounts be as blessed as they could ever be is to not be arrogant assholes. And that's the only word I can use. We have 100%. To be humble, and we have to allow a newbie, we have to allow somebody that's new that comes in the humblest of grace to allow them to express themselves and whatever, and not let them know we know more than they do, because the point is to get people involved and make them feel empowered doing it and make them feel excited about doing it. And so when you came on, I first was judging you, and then I was like, no, wait. And so the reason I bring this up is because I 100%, I've been in this game for a while, and I don't know everything, but I know a bit. And when I talk to you now in the mornings, because for people that don't know, when you watch a crypto YouTube show, these guys, I don't care what influencer they are, they're not showing up, and their whole life they're like rich out balling, doing and then they spend an hour just feeling great about doing an hour stream. No, we do an hour and a half stream in the morning. That's the least time we spend in terms of YouTube relation. The 99% of the other 12 hours we all work a day having a YouTube channel is making sure every bit of content we have is 100% tailored and addressed to make sure that there's value that doesn't serve us and it serves other people. And then how do we make sure we're not doing something that's just a clickbait? But then if we don't do the clickbait, then we can't make sure that we get the views that we can need to pay the. So it's a challenge. And
if anyone ever wondered what the behind the scenes of a YouTube channel looks like, it is not roses and daisies. There is being on screen is the easiest part of the whole day. It's everything else.
It's like training for the Olympics every day, because not only that, you're like we have 16, 17 people on staff. So that's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, sometimes a month, just to run the stream to make sure it runs. And with our channel, this isn't every channel. With our channel, we 100% have never taken and will never take any paid shill for any coin or any project we ever discuss. That's not how we operate. And
Right.
you know, even Jeb said the other day, he's like, you know how many times we got offered anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 to buy a coin project, to sponsor them, to do a review, and that's a hard pill to swallow. And integrity, not to do that, because that completely muddies what our intention is. And my whole point, drawing this back to the whole picture, was now when you and I talk in the morning, when we're talking TA and stuff, like you'll say stuff sometimes, and I feel schooled. I'm like, man, I didn't even see that. No, you have come so far so fast, and that's actually a great point for anybody that's new on
Yeah.
here. All you have to do at anything, whether it's TA or exercise or loving your wife, all you
Yeah.
got to do is put in the work, man. Put in the work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, if I feel like, thank you so much for that, Kelly. I feel like if I could be an example of anything to anyone, it would be, honestly, the only thing stopping you from doing anything you ever want to do is your desire. If you want to do something, some people pick stuff up more naturally. But at the end of the day, I'm a big believer of, if you want something, there's literally nothing that can get in the way. Like I grew up, my only passion in life was sports. Like, I don't think I have a ridiculously low IQ, but I am nowhere near the level of Jeb, or some of you guys don't even know other people on our team, like Shannon. Like, I am sure if we took an IQ test, theirs is way higher than me. But one thing I kind of do pride myself in life is, and my mom always told me this, is when you put your mind to something, it just, nothing gets in the way. And so when I came on with the Crypto Jeb team, I knew nothing. If any of you guys watch Crypto Jeb, go back. Oh, it's pretty painful. Watch February and March,
No,
and
your
listen to
knowledge
some of the things I
growth
say, and
has been awesome.
it's so cringy. It's cringy. Like, it's just like, oh, why would I have said that? But in this growth, I just wanted to learn. Like, I wasn't satisfied. As much as I love Jeb and I love listening to his advice, and it's his advice that got me to learn, but I didn't want to make decisions just based off of what Jeb said. I wanted to learn for myself. So I grinded and I learned. And I think that's the testimony. It's like, man, if Tim can learn how to do technical analysis, no background in technology whatsoever. Crypto was very foreign to me. Everything in blockchain technology just was never within my repertoire of passion. If I can learn how to do it and read markets, anyone can. It's just the only thing separating them is desire.
Exactly. Anybody can do this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So with that being said, let's sort of wrap up this beginning section. And before we do that, I do want to shout out everybody in chat. Again, thank you for being listening here. Thank you so much for participating. And also, I do want to shout out everybody here, Crypto Vet, TA Tim, and also, I don't think he's going to be speaking tonight. He is here listening. Incredible technical analysis or analyst. And he dabbles in some on-chain too, but he's his name on here is Blake. It's the pink background with the I'm not sure which NFT that is. The skull with the hat. Follow all these guys on Twitter. Phenomenal guys. Blake has an absolutely amazing logarithmic chart that he posted I think it was yesterday. So if you go on his Twitter, it's on there, and it basically breaks down it's a Fibonacci extension, sort of how the market is played out according to following the guidelines or the format of just Fibonacci extensions, and essentially taking the peak of the 2013 bull run down to the bear market, following up to the peak of the 2017 bull run to the dip, the bottom of the dip of the 2017 or 2018 bear market, and showing how every time we have our peak and our drop, essentially it really is for the most part based off the 2013 bull market. Our extension all the way up, the peak is always somewhere at it's a 272 fib extension. So the peak of the 2017-2018 bear market bull market was I think it was, I can't remember, you'll have to look, I think it's the 2 or 3.272, and then and just consecutively you'll have to go to his page. It's a beautiful beautiful, comprehensive Fibonacci extension chart that's basically shows a good roadmap that's very likely. And for me and my bank account, I would be more happy than ever if his is right on, because that would put the target at the peak of this bull market somewhere. I think if I'm incorrect, you can throw up a fist, Blake, if I'm correct. I think it was somewhere in the 280 to 400 range. Now I think the 400 probably is a little. That would be just extreme. Everything's going right, and there's no problems with the economy for the next 12 months. So let's just all just agree that's probably unlikely. But I think I think anywhere 280 to, I think anywhere actually 180 to 220 would be very reasonable. And if we got anywhere above 200, honestly, I would be laddering out on my entire portfolio, because there's going to be a stiff drop. And at the end of the day, and I'll tell this anybody listening, the steeper the climb is going into the end of the parabolic run, the sharper the fall will be. So if we have a very steady rise and break out of that into a bear market, we might only drop 40 to 60%. But the truth is that's very unlikely to happen. If we have a parabolic rise like we did in 2017 into the very beginning of 2018, then we'll lean more closer to the 85%. If I had to bet, I would think that we'll probably fall this round a little less than the 2018 bear catastrophe, bear market drop off, where we fell from 19,700 down to all the way the bottom of that was 3,000. I think this time, let's say we get up to 180. I think it's very likely that the price action where we're at now probably would be the lower side of the floor. I think it's more likely if we get that high, our floor would be somewhere in the 50 to 70 range. But all we can do is see. But I've said where I think we're at right now with price action and what's going on, and we've talked around this. So I wanted to give Crypto Vet a chance here to say what he's thinking on about what's going on, and then we'll tap into TA Tim, and then we'll move on to altcoins.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. And again, Tim, much appreciated that you're here, and glad you finally got to hear my voice. I know it's not as soothing as you might have expected, but this is what you get.
Sounds good to me, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, what kind of filter are you working with today, man? You don't sound as
not as good. Just my iPhone. Couldn't afford the new 13. But no, it's been awesome watching all of you guys grow. Even just seeing some of the people in chat, like CryptoRL. I know I've seen some TA there. Everybody. It's really cool to see that. I know I think CryptoRL is doing some Elliott wave, if I remember right. I know Tim, you're a big Wyckoff guy. I've actually read the book, so I was very impressed with that for you. So kudos, my friend. Because I said I've been in this same as Kelly, maybe a little bit longer as far as doing the analyst type shit. I just never really considered myself an analyst until people started calling me that a couple months ago. So, but as far as everything going on now, I'm still not really worried. I was telling Kelly earlier that there are a couple things that we can look at, because there's always a point when people think they're going to change in the market. That second this number hits, I'm selling. I know people have heard like BitBoy, if this number crosses, like I'm out. This is what's going to happen. Well, I don't ever like to just find an ultimatum like that, because that's never always the case. You can have it to where we swing under a little bit, have kind of like a little bear trap, and go up. So overall, though, the biggest thing is we have no volume anywhere. Hardly at all compared. If you take the whole chart of Bitcoin and look at all of the volume from beginning to end, we have the lowest volume over the past 8 months in pretty much the whole history of Bitcoin, especially at this current time. So that trading volume.
Can I pause you for a moment?
Sure.
I just want to point something out. For anybody that's been looking at the volume and seeing a huge uptick in volume, this is a great indicator that you need to zoom out on the chart. That means you're looking at a daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minute, and you're seeing, oh my God, the volume's coming in. No, it is not. The volume is like exponentially lower than it has been in past big moves. So this big move technically is not a big move. And this is why I say when you're trading, the last thing you need to honestly look at, and it's scary to say this, but it's true, is price. Because the fact that we had a $2,000, $5,000, $7,000 swing is irrelevant. Look at the percentage swing we're having. It's no different. It's actually smaller than past corrections, large in part. And the volume in that is, when you zoom out on a 3-day 3-day minimum, 5-day, 2-week, monthly, our volume is non-existent. So I just want to make sure people know that.
Yeah, 100%. And, with all this volume dropping, volume's a key indicator on a lot of things. If we are having a breakout of a pattern, we want to see volume confirmation that people actually are buying at these prices and that the price is going to continue to go in that direction. So if we look at this Bitcoin as a whole, we can see that the volume is completely shit over the past year. So what does low volume mean on a macro scale like this? Well, typically it means a trend reversal or a breakout, right? So in this case, what kind of pattern could we possibly be in? Well, on the macro scale, back in 2017, we parabolically went up to the top, formed a descending triangle, fell to a low of roughly $3,300, I believe. And then we entered into our run after our bad COVID word thing. So, well, now what kind of pattern could we possibly be in? The most likely would be either, say, a bearish wedge or like an ascending triangle. The ascending triangle is actually a more likely pattern because that would end at a more reasonable time frame. But overall, I'm still not worried that this bull run is over. Specifically on volume, there has not been enough volume to come in, and I will not be. My mind just won't be changed until then because. This always happens right before the parabolic run. Everything that you think's about to happen, the opposite occurs. So, you got to stick to your plan, your strategy, and go from there. And if I'm wrong, well, probably in about 4 years, I'll be right again. And I'm okay waiting that long.
You know what? I'll tell you this, you're not wrong by any stretch of the imagination. And one of the biggest indicators I would say about that is I can't remember the exact number, but I saw today, I think it was today. It was either today or yesterday. It was within the last 3 or 4 days because I think the average price was 45, 46. So I'm sure that it happened over a few days. But a wallet on Binance purchased, I think this, don't quote me on this, but I think it was around 43,000 Bitcoin, totaling around $2 billion. And I'll tell you what, people that are spending that kind of investment, they're not doing it willy nilly. We might do it with our $100, $1,000, even if we think we're rich at 15,000, 10,000, 100,000. That is absolutely pennies to that's not even penny, that's like a Shiba Inu to Bitcoin valuation in terms of the type of money that is $2 billion. When a whale is doing that sort of purchase at average cost around $46,000, and that's only one wallet. Then there was 2 or 3 other wallets that have done multi $10,000 10,000 coin plus Bitcoin purchases. In addition to, and this goes back to not looking at the price, in addition to looking at all the on-chain metrics, the illiquid supply, the MVT, the MVRV, and all these things. For anybody that's not aware, you can find a lot of these charts, whether or not you have a crypto quant or a CoinGlass or a Glassnode account. You can go on Check on Chain or I don't know if it's Woobull or Woonomics. It's one of the two websites that has a bunch of, all kind of free on-chain metrics that you can find. And it
Glass
shows,
notes for free too.
yeah, but you can see that the metrics in terms of the behind the scenes actions of what's going on, and the supply. The supply is the key thing. Uh, Capitalism and the way market prices work to work directly on supply and demand. So if we're seeing historical lows on supply and we're worried that the price is going to dip, yeah, you know what? The price might dip a few $1,000s. That's fine. But there's no way in terms of the follow through on sustaining a super low price with continued historic lows on supply. And the way Bitcoin works, supply doesn't just become available. Yeah, people can put their stuff back on exchange and start selling, but we're seeing, even right now with the price as low as it is, there's still, I think, finally we're at a point where it's almost 50-50 inflow to outflow on exchanges. So there's no sort of bias about, hey, this extreme fear sort of metric, which I think is kind of funny and entertaining, isn't really based on true value in the sense of like it. If they could work in on the fear and greed index, the actual exchange flows, I think that would have a lot more weight, because I think the fear and greed would be a lot more valuable if that was measured against, okay, we're also seeing fear sentiment across the board in the market, but we're also seeing a hell of a lot of inflows on exchanges. That's showing preparation to, if I need to be able to let go and sell soon. And we're not seeing that. We're seeing historic lows on illiquid supply, and we're seeing all these metrics just showing bullish RSI divergences. We're in a bullish ascending triangle right now on Bitcoin. Although yes, we're in a dip, but we're on the bottom side range of that dip, finding support on a long trend line. So things are looking up. So that these things
Exactly.
are excellent. But TA Tim, what are you seeing, brother?
I've been thinking about this today, and I loved hearing everything you guys were just talking about, especially so for anyone who has studied Wyckoff, you would understand what CryptoVet was talking about being super frustrating, because everything in the price action is doing what Wyckoff predicts, with the exception of it's really hard with the volume being so low. How do you know when there's a significant volume? Like, all you have to kind of say is, well, we had a volume uptick and then volume decrease. But you're right, when we zoom out, it's like, holy crap, no, the volume's terrible all the time, even on those upticks. So it's been fun. You gotta kind of read it in like relationship to what's been happening recently. No, but I was thinking about it. It seems like Bitcoin's price at the moment is almost like we're playing tag. We're chasing the price constantly to say, where's the bottom going to be? When's it going to zig? When's it going to zag? When's it going to go up? When's it going to drop? And so, I loved what Kelly put on Twitter earlier, showing the comparison of what we're doing right now to what happened back in, well, I think it was the end of July when we came out of that accumulation phase, hit that spring below the bottom of that trading channel, and then we exploded. We went up and obviously rallied all the way up to 52 before a lot of resistance, and then kept going. And so I have a question I want to kind of look at in terms of, if we do the exact same thing, which we definitely could, the bottom's in. We give us a couple more candle bodies on the 4-hourly chart to move a little sideways before that spring happens. Again, all volumes low, but in relatively the shorter time frames we're looking at, volume is nice and low at the moment. But one of my kind of questions is, and again, a game of tag, have the manipulators of the market, has the composite man kind of caught on to, hey man, people are on to me, they're predicting I'm about to zig, maybe I should zag. Like, if so many people want to buy at this level and they can predict that, there's a chance we go back down to 39. And I know that's not what any bull wants to hear. That's not what any trader who invested in Bitcoin recently wants to hear. But the truth is, I do think that there's really not that much lower than 39 we can go. I know on the show today, I saw a lot of comments, people saying 32. Some people are even saying down to the 20s. No, when you're looking at what Kelly was just talking about, where I'm sure that number has grown, but yesterday we had 76% of all Bitcoin is illiquid, meaning it's untouchable. And again, I think that number probably grew today after that little dip. There's really how much lower could we go to 39? I do think we can go to 39, and some things that kind of back that up. I talked about it on the show today with Crypto Jeb. There is the Bollinger Bands on both the daily and the 3 daily chart show that we have a little room to go before we hit an over sold metric. So it's there. Doesn't mean we have to necessarily go that far. But that's my question is, are there enough people talking about the fact that we're doing something similar to what we did a couple months ago? That's what relative 6 months ago. Is there enough for the whales to say, you know what, instead of shooting back up because everyone else thinks that's what's going to happen, let's do one more dip to try to scare those people? Because if they can do that and scare all the people who said 42 is the bottom, then they could maybe get a couple more bulls to turn to say, man, maybe we are really in a bear market, and sell. And that's when they explode the market. So I'm not saying for sure it's going to happen. There are still a lot of things I see that are kind of supporting this concept of 42 is a great spot to go ahead and turn and go up. But I think people would be unwise to ignore the fact that potentially, whales and institutions, they're looking at this. And at the end of the day, I've been saying this for a while, you need to kind of have like a crypto worldview. If you just go into the market every single day and you forget what you learned yesterday and you forget what you learned the day before and you have no story you think is playing out, you're going to constantly get confused. But if you do think we're in a season of manipulation, if you do think that there's something holding the price down, and I don't know how you argue against that, look at all the on-chain metrics that are so bullish. Look at everything that flashes all the time on the chart saying we're ready for a rally. I think that there's nothing short of manipulation happening. And I think there's enough knowledge there that said, hey, we know we're close to the bottom, but I think there's a couple more hands that could be shook out. So that's what I'm kind of keeping my eye on right now. Not guaranteeing 39, but also being very aware that that's well within the cards. I think either way, if someone's looking to get into Bitcoin, this is a great level, because let's say we do go down to 39, that's barely any loss whatsoever. But at the same time, I think I want to caution people from freaking out just because you're on to 39. I think that we're in a season of manipulation. I think we're in a game of tag, and those institutions, those whales, are going to try to make us miss, and they are going to try to confuse us. They're going to try to do things differently just to get us out so that they can take all the Bitcoin. And the last thing I want to say, even with that worldview, I'm a big believer of this. This is one of the things I learned probably back in March. I was watching a lot of economic figures, very, very wealthy economic figures, talk about how they viewed Bitcoin. And they talked about how in the past, they would view their wealth in terms of how much US dollars they owned in Bitcoin. So if I compared my Bitcoin holdings to US dollars, how much do I have? And they've learned over this last cycle, they're like, no, I need to stop comparing Bitcoin to US dollars. And I just need to be asking myself, how many Satoshis do I have? And what can I do to get more of them? So in their eyes, they love these dips. And that puts them right in the same camp as the whales. They love these dips, not because the price went down, but because it just went on sale and they can accumulate more Satoshis. So I'm in the process of kind of, you can say that with your mouth, but you got to wrap your brain around that concept. Dang, when the price goes down, yes, my portfolio in US dollars goes down, but I just got a great opportunity to increase my Satoshis. So that's kind of where my brain is at the moment.
No, absolutely. And those were all incredible points. It's funny you say that, because I was looking at my portfolio today and the way I have it structured. And this, I can't take full credit for this, because sometimes it's the opposite of this. A lot of times it's opposite of this, but I've got a pretty wide sort of setup on in the way my portfolio is structured. But the market dipped, and the value of my portfolio went up in terms of how much Bitcoin I hold. So it's interesting to in one way feel like, oh, the market's dropping, but on the other hand being like, oh man, I just went up 0.3 Bitcoin because the market dropped, But and that was just kind of, I don't want to say luck of the draw, but in all honesty, a little bit, especially with alts, it's luck of the draw. But that before we move on into, I want to talk about some altcoins in a bit, but before we do that, I do want to just shout out CryptoRL and Camille here. They've requested, I'm going to bring them up in a little bit. They both also sent me some private messages. Both have some really great things to share here in a bit about the same topic. But in order to move through some of the topics, we'll go back to these in a second. But with that being said, everything that we just brought up, and before we fully dive into that, I do want to say the 39 thing, the 39K level, 39.5 really, 39.6.
39.5, 40K was where I was expecting.
Yeah, but the point there is that is a great spot if it were to pull back to. But I think another person here in chat sent me a message before the stream, and you wanted to know, how do you really determine whether or not you're in a bear market? And the first step, and this doesn't mean it's fully confirmed, but the first step and very most important step is, and this is why it's funny when people that are new to this, they're like, dude, we're in a bear market and we're over here talking about bullish metrics. Well, what we're looking at is first, we're not looking at the 15-minute chart seeing that we're in a downtrend. Of course we're in a downtrend. We're in a short midterm downtrend that is scary if it's your first downtrend. I remember my first downtrend, but at the end of the day, if we haven't broken market structure, which is on the macro level right now, is the line in the sand is about 39.6, 39.5. If we dip down to 39.5, 39.6, and we have even like a four hour candle wick below that's bought up immediately without a candle closure below that, I think we're safe. But if we have a dip down to 39.6, and then we have the next candle closure down at 37, 36, 37, 30, anywhere down there, that's when it doesn't mean it's over, but that's when I'd be looking like, what's the next candle closure or two? Because if there's two candle closures after breaking 39, it's very likely that we've fully broken structure, and then you can start playing the downside cards a little more legitimately. But
the important thing to look for, Kelly, let's say we do break, because you guys are right. I said 39 just to kind of round it to a clean number. It is around 39.5, 39.6. what's going to be interesting to look at is if it breaks that. Let's say we do go below 39. It'll be interesting to go look at that on-chain metric of liquidation versus illiquid Bitcoin. Because will that change? Like, will people see that price go and then start putting their Bitcoin back on exchange to go ahead and sell? I don't think that's going to happen. But if it did, that would be like, before I freaked out about the price, I would first go check that real quick.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great point. Yeah, if we break 39 and there's absolutely no new inflows on exchanges, I would be a little more patient. But the fact that we would break 39 and we're going down, closing consecutive 4-hour and then daily candle close, especially daily, below 39, that would be, you have to at least acknowledge in that moment that you have broken market structure. And but here's the deal. And this is the craziest thing I've learned about crypto and Bitcoin is that every pattern you've ever learned, I don't care if it's from Bukowski doing, learning all those trading patterns and candlestick analysis. I don't care what the best crypto trader you've ever learned from. I don't care what it is. At the end of the day, one of the things I've seen more, and I think it has a lot to do with the institutional money that's come in the last 2 years, especially in the last 12 months, is that people know what people are, they can see the patterns that are playing out and they push it that direction. People buy in because they can tell the market consensus of new traders that think they've learned something, and then they push it that direction. They get people to buy, and then it goes completely the opposite direction. So if you're in a descending triangle and the descending triangle is going to break down, then the descending triangle will actually break down, and then it will completely reverse and go the opposite direction. And you're like, what the hell? And it goes above where that resistance was, thinking now it's going to go up. And then it goes, nope, we're actually going to go down. So literally, it's like, let's wipe out everybody to the downside and go up. And now we're going to wipe up everybody on the long side and go down. So you've really got to be patient and constructive and thoughtful about where you put your entries in, and be a little bit generous with how far away those areas are, or have absolutely incredibly tight stop losses. But I want to move forward in this conversation because at the end of the day, the crypto market isn't just Bitcoin. We also have, if you think about it, honestly, the majority of the crypto market is now altcoins, because crypto's dominance now is also, I think we did an article today on the show. We've hit a 5-year low on Bitcoin dominance, which would suggest, if we're 39, 40% market dominance, that means that 60% is altcoins. So therefore, the majority of the market technically is an altcoin market. So with that being said, with this market playing out the way it is, and Bitcoin being a little bit, I don't want to say a harbinger, but it's a little bit of almost like a market index of what's likely, at least historically, what's likely to happen. Because if Bitcoin falls far, altcoins take that as a signal, and it's going to typically follow that in some respect. So I'm curious your thoughts, Crypto Vet, with the Bitcoin market playing out how it's playing currently. How are you playing the altcoin market, and are you playing it differently for Ethereum versus other alts? And are you playing it differently for Ethereum versus upper or mid cap alts versus micro caps? Or do you think they all sort of fall into the same category in terms of how they respond to Bitcoin price action?
Well, yeah. Everything has in some way, shape, or form going to be compared back to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin's price drops in any way, shape, or form, the other cryptos are going to have some sort of effect, because Bitcoin dominance is valued Bitcoin versus every other cryptocurrency that's out there, right? So when we look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, this can tell us a lot of things. Like like 2 days ago, it looked very highly that we would have some sort of altcoin actual breakout before Bitcoin took another dump. Well, everything looked like it was going to do that until Bitcoin dumped. So which one was stronger, Bitcoin or the fact that the alts were trying to be, the big boys on campus? Well, no, Bitcoin's still the strongest and still has a huge effect on all the other cryptos. So the way that I do that is I always just try to keep some fiat on the side, which is not easy, because as any other person in crypto is completely overexposed. We are way over leveraged half the time, so like, yeah, of course, trying to keep any type of fiat on the side to buy in during these dips, we run out after the first dip. because none of us DCA the way we're supposed to.
We're
We just take our
we're crypto crackheads.
yeah, degens at heart, right? So of course I'm going to tell you the correct way, but I don't always follow that because sometimes I just don't have extra money on the side, maybe because I'm not working as a veterinarian anymore. So all the money I make is purely crypto gains, and then all the projects I work for, I only get paid if the project succeeds. So I do the consulting completely pro bono until it makes money. So when it comes to this, I really think that we're just going to come down to about 40,000 and we're going to go bounce up. So what do you do then? Do you sell your alts at a loss to try and recover and then get it at a lower price? No, you're going to get fucked on ETH fees. So like if it's anything on the Ethereum chain, you might as well just kiss trying to trade like that goodbye, unless you're on some sort of centralized exchange, KuCoin, Bybit, whatever the case may be. So, but most of the time you're going to sell the bottom and then you're going to buy back in at a higher price. So like be realistic with yourselves, like this isn't the best plan, right? So go back, reevaluate your strategy. So next thing is, if you can't accumulate, you can't do this, you can't do that, what do? Well, in the end, the best strategy 90% of the time is to do absolutely nothing and start educating yourself and learn. And that's what I did when, COVID hit and I wasn't doing surgery. I was used to do 50 surgeries a day, and then I went to where I had like maybe 10. Well, that doesn't pay the bills. So I had to do something else. Well, I used to be good at trading Forex when I was in college. I got really, really good at crypto and started learning coding and going further, further, and further. And now here I am where I can make a full-time living just off of crypto. So my overall strategy with that is sometimes doing less is more. And during these red days, I try to just think more on the strategy for next time, learn from my mistakes. So like I was testing out these DAOs on Binance Smart Chain just because, a lot of people ask me about these things, and I could go into a huge presentation that I just did on a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization. And I use the Treasury or the Fed as the comparison because basically all a DAO is a Fed, and you are acting as the Fed for this. So, you can go as crazy as you want on all these, but in the end, everything's, just so I don't go too long, everything goes back to Bitcoin, and the alts are affected. So if you want to trade the alts, there's always going to be the one random loose guy who does go up because of some good news and all that, but that's all speculation at this point and usually isn't sustainable, especially if Bitcoin is falling. So what I do is try to buy more at a better position, or I do nothing. That's
No,
it.
absolutely. And one of the things we can tailor that into is one of the things I wanted to talk about is, at the end of the day, we're all into this. Yes, we believe. Honestly, I don't think we all believe. I think some of the people that are involved in crypto get in because they think it's a beautiful decentralized thing. And, we're breaking away from the oppressive regimes of governments and fiat. But honestly, I think if we're really honest, the large majority of people are in crypto because they see it as an excellent way to supercharge their ability to catch up on all the money they could have saved if they were a little bit more financially responsible their whole life. And that's okay. That's me times a million. And the ability to access or have access to the gains that are involved is incredible. And let's be honest, we don't want to be greedy, but that's a part, especially when you see people that have become crypto millionaires. But with that being said, I will say it is very incredibly important to have major coins in your portfolio like Bitcoin and Ethereum or other top 10 coins, whether it be Matic or Sol or Polkadot or Avalanche or anything that's in the top 20 or 50 even. But at the end of the day, there's also a good portion of us that wants to access these incredible gains that are apparent or able easy. I don't want to say easy actually because it's not easy, but that are available if you pick the right microcap to jump into. So with that, I will say I'll use a couple coins as an example. I got into there's a couple projects I got into that are super microcaps, and by super microcap I mean like really microcaps. Like I'm talking like anywhere from 20 to 120 $1 million microcap, sometimes even smaller than that. Saber is one of them. It's a DeFi project that's on the Solana chain. And if you actually go on DeFi Llama, and if any of you have not gone to DeFi Llama, I'm going to give you homework right now and definitely check that out because that is a great resource when you're looking up any DeFi project and you're trying to gauge whether or not it's a good investment vehicle. because you can see a lot of the stuff that's going on with the coin. Like and this goes back to, again, forget price action. Look at what's happening on the chain. You can look at the growth of how much total value locked has grown or not grown, aka how much activity and market participation you're seeing on this project. So in this case, Saber, I initially bought in when it was around, I think like 75, about 75 cents. And in the last month, maybe 2 months or so, it's dropped from 75 cents. I don't even know what the low was, but it was down near like 3 or 4 cents. And, part of my ego wants to be bruised. But then I realized, I'm like, you know what? I bought into this project because I believed in it. There's a lot of things going on in the market. So rather than beat myself up about it, now, if the market was humming and it was just flying and this dropped down to 3 cents, out of the project, cut my losses. That's the wrong project that I got into. But the market, there's a lot of in context going on in the world. And so as it dropped, it's like, you know what? I can now put in $500 versus the $6,000 that I put in initially. And I'm going to get more coins than I got with the $500 than I did with the 6,000s that I did before. So now I'm lowering my cost of entry on this project exponentially. And so now, in order to even break even, I can't remember what the price is on this particular one, but it's like 38 cents or something, which is beautiful. And I'm not going to get out at 38 cents. But my whole point is, sometimes you look at these market dips, and if you understand the structure of what's happening in the broader market and what's going on in context with not only the economy, but the crypto economy and Bitcoin and all these things, then when you are having a dip, okay, this is a good time to strengthen my positions in certain projects. And so in Saber's case, I did that. Another incredible project that everybody needs to know about, if you don't, is Cardano. Now, Cardano is not a microcap, but one of the ways to make money in crypto, because we have the roadmap. We have the roadmap laid out for us. You see Ethereum, you see how that project outlay, how the roadmap for that went. Initially it was just a coin, and then projects developed on it, and then you have DeFi, then you have smart contracts, and you have XYZ, all the NFTs, all this stuff. And you can kind of get a pretty good gauge of what projects did what, how, what ones failed. And you can see, okay, well, if this is a model, I can apply that model to other layer one solutions. And Cardano is a great case because now Cardano has an incredibly strong community behind it that is built in the last 3 or 4 years. And fortunately, some people think it's unfortunately, but fortunately, rather than do a huge value proposition and then try to meet it, they have slowly released and developed the things that they're doing, and they're not over promising and then delivering along the way. They are slowly and methodically releasing stuff when the development and the test cases prove that this is something relevant and has value that is being added. And the reason I bring that up is because now if we look at Cardano and we apply that to something like Ethereum, and you see the roadmap, then Cardano right now, I think in 2022 is going to be one of the most fruitful ecosystems in amongst layer ones in the crypto ecosystem, because they just now finally, they released the ability to do smart contracts September 12th. However, they've had I don't want to say issue, but they've slowly been fully integrating their Plutus application backend so that all the applications that are developing on top of it can fully start being released. It's coming here and starting in Q1 as early as I think it's already starting to happen, but definitely by the end of January. And in this case, here's a great example. One of the huge projects that I'm hugely bullish on is a project called ADAX, which is a DEX that's on Cardano. And this is a good example of how you can look at and value micro caps when you're getting into them. Because if you look at Ethereum, you look at the DEX that released on Ethereum. You got Uniswap. Okay, Uniswap, they ended up getting up in the mid 20s, even above that. But they also, if you look at the tokenomics, which means the number of tokens and how those tokens are either inflated or burned or whatever that means in terms of their total supply, and how that changes or stays fixed compared to the market cap of that project. And I'm not saying ADAX will do this, but if I'm looking at it at least as a potential roadmap, Uniswap has, I think, over a billion or more coins. Well, ADAX only has 100 million coins total supply, and they are slated right now to release their mainnet for their DEX on January 30th. So even if we do 10% of that, well, that would be quite, I mean, it would be a large gain. It would be a 10, 15, 20x gain just to reach a 20% market cap of where Uniswap is. And that's not to say it will or won't happen, but my point here is when you're trying to figure out what projects to get into, look at the ecosystems that are similar in a similar sort of parallel way of what that project does, and look at the projects that have worked on that ecosystem in the past, and then you can forecast, okay, these are projects similar. And of course, do your due diligence, look into the team, go check the community forums, watch a couple reviews online, read a white paper if you have the mind and the time to do that. But when you compare the tokenomics to a microcap, the team and the roadmap of how things are going to be laid out and how that's relating to what's happening in the bull market, you can pick an incredible winner. So that's sort of my strategy when I'm picking microcaps. And those are two of the coins that I'm currently sort of DCAing in as they float around right now with this bear market, because these small microcaps, they're drastically affected when you have these market dips on Bitcoin. So it gives you incredible screw Black Friday in America, like you have on Friday before right after Thanksgiving. These are the best sales you'll ever get. So don't get mad these prices drop. Say, oh, hallelujah, I got these things at incredible prices. And so that's why I'm looking at Saber and ADAX and Sunny Aggregator and these other small micro caps, because there's so much upside. And I can see that with some sort of plan of action based on how things have played out in the past. And even if you hit, 10% of the roadmap of where it could go, at least you have a plan of action. And I will say, let's say you have 10,000 of whether it's Saber or ADAX or whatever, then look at where your target is, and at the plan along the way. You don't just wait for your target and then try to sell at your target, because you're going to lose everything. You set up some strategic take profits, some of them very early in growth, to where you can cover your initial investment, and then strategically along the way, you ladder a portion of it out. And whatever portion of that is, whether it's 100%, whether it's 20%, whether it's 15, 30, it doesn't matter. You're taking profits along the way, so you're making money on it. So then you can allocate those to coins that you can make sure you're building your wealth, not just always taking bets. Because if you're always taking bets, statistics are against you, you're going to end up with nothing. So that's my sort of strategy with the alts and the microcaps. I'm curious, Crypto Vet, if you have any microcaps you're looking at, and how you play that game.
When it comes to the micro caps, it's purely on, I follow the money. So I need to know that there is some sort of release coming up. I have to know that I am earlier than the people who are about to get the marketing. And then I hopefully have some utility with the project. But that's not always the case, because I've definitely invested and rode the wave on a couple projects that I wouldn't consider it's definitely things I wouldn't put a YouTube video out on, right, personally, but that's just me. So I just try to follow the money, because wherever you're going to have big hype in, there's going to be a handful of people in that community who are going to want to be hodlers and see where it goes. But you can always, for me as a day trader, I see that as a quick opportunity. If I put in $1,000 to $10,000 and at 2 to 5x's, that's a pretty damn good day, right? But I've also had days where I put in 1 to 10,000 and it's gone completely the other direction, right? So the risk reward ratio is much, much, much greater. As far as the ones I'm in right now, I have no idea some of their validities, but I am currently looking into Nemesis DAO on Binance Smart Chain. And that is just because a friend is on the dev team and he wants me to take a look at it. So of course it's one of the ridiculous APY things, which if people don't understand that, I'd be more than happy to do another time and space where I can kind of go over the DAO and how they work, as well as why these APYs are so ridiculous and why they're also not a scam, and they can actually be very sustainable if run properly. It's just most are not. Other than that, I'm trying to think what other little ones I've, besides my own projects, with Dash League and the other one, which should be coming out in a week or two. I honestly haven't had as much time as usual to look into projects. So if maybe Tim's got something, or maybe we should get some of the other people up to
Absolutely. And
bring
just
up
for a
their
moment,
project.
I just want to shout out real quick. We got Mr. Dan in the house. He's got an incredible crypto YouTube channel that I actually have been following for at least 3 or 4 years now.
Oh yeah,
So
what's up?
I'm honored he's in here. Yeah, he's got the
He
YouTube
had
channel,
a
Crypto Capital Venture. And
thing before that. It had a different name too.
if there's anybody bullish on Cardano, this it's this guy. And there's nothing misaligned or malaligned or wrong about anything he's ever shared about about Cardano, because if anybody is even questionably wondering why anybody's bullish on it, and Cardano's dead because it's flat. Well, you're doing the number one wrong thing you should do in crypto, and that's paying attention to the price. Price has nothing to do with development on the chain. And if you look at 2021, Cardano was the most developed chain among all layer ones. So if there's anything to be bullish on, and if you ask any smart money player, whether it's a billionaire investor or somebody that went from nothing to close to $1 billion, they're not following what the money is on a project. They're following where the development is, where the money is being invested, not what the price point of the project is, because they're looking ahead. They're not trying to catch something as the knife is going up, or the rocket's going up, or the knife is going down. They're trying to catch something before it pops. And so if you want to catch something before it pops, watch where the development is, watch where the minds are attracted to, watch what's happening on GitHub, and you will see, okay, this might not be doing anything now. I might have to be patient. But if there's anybody that knows about investing, it's Warren Buffett. And he says the stock market, and in this case, we can attribute it to the crypto market, is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. So if you feel like you're being impatient, I can tell you right now, you're investing with the wrong mindset. If you feel like you're being patient and you're, gosh darn, I'm waiting so long, then I will just say, wait a little longer, because your fruits will be paid for.
Well, Kelly, I don't know if I'm fully answering your question, but as far as altcoins, I have what I'm gonna figure is gonna be an unpopular opinion. Maybe it'll be popular. I don't know. The good news is, if anyone disagrees with me, it'll be a long time before we know which one of us is right. But a couple numbers I've been chewing on recently with altcoins. First of all, let's just go ahead and say Bitcoin right now has about 40% dominance. I know it's 39.6 or something, but I don't think it's gonna be long. I don't think you guys would disagree. It's not gonna be long before it gets back up over 40 and pushes back closer to that 50. But anyway, let's just call it 40. So 40% is Bitcoin, which means 60% is in the altcoins. Well, Ethereum right now is sitting right below half, or maybe it's right above half now. I haven't looked at that here in a second, but so that means 60% of the entire crypto space is just between two projects, two coins. And then you go a little farther out to the top 10 coins. When you include all top 10 projects and cryptos, we're actually not looking at 80% of the entire space, right? So
Yeah.
there's still a large majority of the money in the top 10. And something you were saying earlier, Kelly, is very true. You were talking about why people got into crypto, and I think there's a lot of people who got into crypto because of the concept of them, wanting us to be in DeFi. They want us to be decentralized. They're tired of centralized money. Here's the problem, though. I think there's a lot of people that got in saying, "Who cares about centralization or decentralization? I want to make money." And so whether you were a decentralized person or a centralized person, I think a lot of people who got in as decentralized people kind of got that glimmer of gold in their eye. They realized, holy crap, look at how much money you can make in crypto. Like, for example, this last year, gold, a lot of people, especially if you're talking to investors, a lot of people still really love gold. Gold presented a 4% profit versus Bitcoin, which everyone's fussing about right now, was 60%, over 120% at its peaks. So, as a whole, crypto is extremely volatile. So even the people that get in with a pure heart, it's hard to resist that kind of that goldish look of like, oh man, snap, I can make so much money if I'm willing to even get a hold of some of these centralized projects. Here's the thing, this is from somebody who's not a tech person. This was a really big thing to me when I started thinking about the concepts of what really altcoins are. I love Cardano and the way Hoskinson kind of puts it in terms of not caring about price. And the reason why is because Cardano was not made simply to have a price or a price point and to increase people's wealth. It was made as a technology to build things to better the world, and consequently, because it's going to grow as a technology and it's going to grow as a product, the price will go up, and therefore you can make money off of it. But the problem is, I would ask the question: how many people in the space right now view almost every single coin as a price, meter? They're not actually looking at the technology. They just heard their friend made a
Most
couple
of them.
$1,000s on it.
Most people are in that
Yeah,
mindset, unfortunately.
and yeah. Go ahead.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
you good?
No, I said it really sucks that most people are in that mindset because it doesn't matter what the crypto is. Most people are looking just for instant Lambos. That's all they're worried
Yes.
about is
Yep.
hello admin, when Lambo. So,
Yep.
but yeah, go ahead and continue.
No, and so this is whether this is right or not. That's why I said this might be an unpopular opinion, and we'll have to wait a while before we actually find out what happens. But when we look at those numbers, 40% right now is in Bitcoin dominance, 60% between the top two, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then completing the whole top 10, the 80%. I don't know if that is going to switch that much. I think there's money to be made in lower projects, but it's almost like, have you guys seen those videos of the Hot Wheel cars they put on the moving treadmill, and they just kind of wait for cars to fall off the treadmill before they have their last couple that are kind of the grand runners, and then those will stay on for a while. I mean, look at what Cardano's doing, what Ethereum's doing, all the different layers that are coming beneath it, the layer 2 solutions, the different projects that are being done. I think there's going to be a point where people start to wake up and realize, man, coins aren't only supposed to be about price. They actually have technology. This blockchain technology is actually building the future. The problem is that projects like Ethereum and Cardano are going to kind of swallow up the space, and they're going to solve all the issues. Like, coins are going to form underneath them to form all the issues. And I think there's going to be a point where that dominance kind of, we look at the top 10 projects. I don't think we're finished forming the top 10. I think 5 years from now, that top 10 will look completely different.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 to 8, maybe not 5, let's say 8 years, that if Bitcoin ended up having even a 15 to 20% market dominance in 8 years, that wouldn't be something shocking to me because the broader market is developing so drastically. And at the end of the day, and this is not a slight on Bitcoin at all, I think Bitcoin has a perfect and exact use case, and I think unfortunately some devs are going to be trying to do smart contracts and this and do it fine, but there's so much being developed on all these other chains. Avalanche, for instance, you have 3 parallel chains that run on nodes that can be scaled infinitely. You know what I mean? So there's no congestion like the issues like you have on Solana, where you have these DDoS attacks that congest it. There's just so many different projects that do different things, and they do it in their own way. And the fact that some people think they're competing, at the end of the day, they're not. They're all doing slightly different things. And Cardano is an ecosystem. They have, you got Cody, you got ADAX, Sunday Swap, Cardax, Arland, or Adalin, sorry, Muesli Swap. Actually, that came out of nowhere. I wasn't even aware of that one. Was the first DEX that launched. I don't know if Dan wants to hop on. I know he'd have some thoughts on this, but in terms of Cardano, but in terms of this entire broader market, there's just so much development that's happening day by day. And at the end of the day, the value of these coins isn't the coin itself. It's an underlying network that they support. And Cardano is, we were talking about today, for the Why Bitcoin sort of architecture in terms of how we're planning that series that we're doing on our channel at CryptoJeb. But, at the end of the day, Charles Hoskinson, we were alluding him to, like, he's kind of what, and I don't want to compare him to the muskrat, Mr. Elon Musk, but people were aware of him 10 years ago, but he was kind of an arbitrary, just tech figure that had no real sway in the geopolitical tech world, other than the fact that he did, PayPal. And then all of a sudden he's the richest man in the world, and he's a visionary and all this. And I think in a different way, but actually a more profound way, Charles Hoskinson is actually, he's like the Vanderbilt, the Carnegie, these people that built the railroads in the Americas, and that basically built the infrastructure that made the Industrial Revolution happen because the future is digital, and the way we transact and have transparency and accountability is digital. And when you look at how Cardano is changing the way the entire continent of Africa will essentially have the rails and ecosystem to take them from being a third world continent, large in part, not every city. There's obviously major metropolitan cities, but large in part, it's a third world continent. But they now are having the most absolutely forward thinking next generation Web 7, you know what I mean, digital
Yeah.
architecture and framework that is providing them. It's not even like a slingshot, it's a rail gun to it. I think people are going to be shocked in the Western world that closed-mindedly that Africa, the whole continent, is going to slingshot into the future in the next 15 to 20 years because of this sort of framework. And I think it is phenomenal.
Yeah, well, and this is all true. I think the point I was trying to make is I think that blockchain is so ununderstood. Like crypto is so ununderstood right now that people almost see every crypto as a coin of value or a point of value. People are going to realize, oh, okay, no, these coins aren't all value. Like even that debate, is Ethereum going to flip Bitcoin, is on the precipice of comparing Bitcoin and Ethereum as if they did the same thing. And that's like comparing a car company versus a phone company. They're not even in competition with each other. Depending on what season we're in, you're going to see more cars being sold, and what season we're in, we're going to see more phones being sold. I wouldn't compare those two companies. And what I think is going to happen is, so blockchain technology is going to change the world. But we as human nature, whether we want to or not, at one point we were decentralized. At one point, the world did have decentralization. We as humans find a way to find our way back to centralization. We love winners. We love one thing. A lot of people hate when the monopoly of a business screws them over. But the truth is, we're creatures of loving monopolies. We love the winner. And so while I think there will still be thousands and thousands and thousands of different altcoins, and I have no idea what that final 10 list, and I don't think I'm not going to knock myself to number 10, but I think that number of coins really competing for dominance is going to be a small group. And I think people are going to cling to those winners. And there will be lots of projects that solve problems and they're great technologies. But when we're talking about when people are actually investing in things and getting involved, I think we're going to see some clear front runners. I mean, we have some right now, but I think it's going to become even clearer. Like right now, that top 10 list is nowhere close to being done forming. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are maybe a couple years away still, but they're cementing their place up there amongst the top. As far as the rest of them, who knows where the other 8 are going to look like. And so we're kind of in a race right now to see, hey, what projects are going to win, what coins and what technologies are going to take the forefront. And so a lot of these projects like Cardano, Ethereum, who aren't just a singular thing, they're not their own thing, they're actually platforms to build these technologies on. If people are talking about where can I put my money that long-term will hold its value and continue to grow and grow and grow, I do think, there's money to be made in small altcoins and small caps, but there will become a point where it's like, no, there's some clear winners here. And you can invest and make money. If you know what you're looking for in technology, you can make some money on the smaller things, but there's going to be some very clear alts at the top that they're just dominate their field. And anytime any new altcoin comes into space to try to solve a problem, how many businesses have been formed to form computers or to build phones or to build web browsers? The problem is the guys at the top, the guys who have been winning this whole time, as soon as they find out there's a new technology, they either buy that young company out or they just replicate it and out advertise them and get known sooner. And so that kills that smaller company. I think that there will be a season. Crypto is really exciting right now, but there'll be a season where it starts to get a little bit more known and a little more focused on top coins, and there won't be this excitement on those smaller caps.
Absolutely, man. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I want to just give a second to, again, shout out. Thank you so much, Mr. Crypto Vet, TA Tim. And I want to give a special shout out here to Dan from CryptoCapitalVenture. He's coming up to speak. I'm sure he might have at least one thought or two or a word to say. I think he might know something about Cardano. But you're welcome to chime in and talk about anything that comes to mind, my brother. And Happy New Year. Thanks for joining.
Hey, what is up? Happy New Year. Nice to meet you, man. I don't know. I came across you the other day. I was like, who's this? I saw you. Looks like you're doing some cool stuff. So just popped on. I saw you were doing a space.
Oh, thank you, brother.
Really does some cool things every now and then.
Yeah. The Crypto Jeb team absorbed me into their universe about 6 or 7 months ago, and now we're doing things. Now we're the fam. I'm actually here in Gainesville, Florida, with them. Been working on a bunch of content. We're doing a bunch of big development for this year, and I'll be back in New York tomorrow or Saturday, but then I'll be back down here in February. But
Cool.
yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts, man. I'm happy to connect with you, brother. I've been watching you for at least 4 years, man. I'm happy to see your growth.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. It's good to connect. I can't stay too long. I was just making some eggs for my wife, and when
It's all about the huevos,
you
baby.
you can't mess. My wife's Colombian, and when you're cooking for your
She's the
Colombian
boss.
wife, you can't mess around. Like
Don't burn the
it's
eggs.
legit.
You might
yeah.
get the frying pan back at you.
Well,
Exactly.
how about this then? Since you can only stay a second, I'll ask you a pointed question, and you can give your thought on it, and then you can listen as long as you want after that. Looking into 2022, what's your what would you say is your most excited thing regarding the Cardano as a coin or the Cardano ecosystem? And then the second part of that would be if there was one coin within the Cardano ecosystem that's most exciting, what would that be? And if you had to pick one DEX, which DEX would it be from the 3 or 4 that are coming out in the next month?
Interesting.
You gotta go. There's a 9-point question for you.
I just swapped you in for a good 37 minutes, brother. No, you can just answer whatever you like.
No, I mean, I would say the biggest thing that I keep saying now going into 2022, just because it's what's talked about the most, is Cardano's going into this, this season of approaching that governance and scalability season. And, with that, there's going to be a lot of optimization of things like what's already happened, like staking, right? And the staking ecosystem is growing ridiculously. So like there's a lot of exciting things, but I think I was thinking today, and I was taking some notes going into this interview with Charles next week. Just like that path to 1 billion users has kind of been intriguing me. It's kind of been on my mind a little bit, and what that looks like, right? And I think there's so many, it's like a really loaded thing, 1 billion users, but it has like a bunch of little arms. And that's kind of a segue to one of the projects that I'm excited about with Cardano is World Mobile and what they're doing. But, and that's also a segue to what excites me so much about Cardano is just you have this brand new world in crypto of all these altcoins that are just popping up, right? Like World Mobile, I don't know, it's 30 some cents right now. It is like in its infancy, doing huge things. And I just feel like so much of the crypto world is just not noticing. And that kind of gets me very bullish on all of these altcoins because this is the kind of stuff that I feel like everybody that's getting into crypto is looking for, right? Like those altcoins that can just see ridiculous gains. And what makes it especially exciting for me as a content creator is just like, there's meat there. Like there's meat on those bones. Like these altcoins aren't just altcoins that can give ridiculous gains. Like they're legit playing into the story of what Cardano is doing, which is, that path to 1 billion users. They're doing a lot. We're seeing a lot of stuff done with identity in Ethiopia, World Mobile in Zanzibar. And those are the little arms, I think, that are going to help Cardano get to that 1 billion user mark. So that's kind of going into 2022. I mean, I'm probably all over the place, but that's kind of what's on my mind.
Oh no, it makes perfect sense. And one of the things I tell people, even myself, I have to remind myself of this. Especially, and this is a big point of conversation and thought and introspection, is I have to make sure, because I have developed into a little bit of a voice, not only with the Twitter Spaces, but also regularly being a personality and co-host or a personality in any regard on the Crypto Jeb show regularly. But separate from that, all of us, we believe in this, and we are crypto personalities and evangelists of our own right to the people in our family and our neighbors. And so I have to make sure when I'm sharing thoughts on crypto, am I evangelizing something that not only I truly believe in, but what are the metrics behind what I'm sharing? Yes, I've made a good deal of money in crypto, but am I going to get somebody to jump in that's going to lose money? Or what's the upside from here, regardless of if we go down? At the end of the day, all you got to do, if anybody's speculating on this or anybody even questions why you believe and how and what the metrics are and what fuels that sort of belief, go ahead and pull up the Bitcoin adoption curve, and you will see that we are outpacing the speed of the internet adoption. And that makes sense, of course, because internet took a while, because before the internet, where it's a little bit more word of mouth, and now we have the internet, so things can be spread more quickly. So it makes sense that we are being adopted more quickly. But that being said, if you just look at the trajectory that the Bitcoin adoption curve has taken, uh, there will be some outliers in terms of maybe slower months or years or whatever, but large in part, essentially by, and I can't remember what the exact metric is, but I think by 2024 we will have more than hit the billion person mark, and then from 2024 to 2028 will be past the 3 billion, 5 billion mark, somewhere in that range. And if we are at where we're at right now with the a tenth of that, um, all you can look at is any supply demand economics of any market in the history of the world. And even if let's say we 10x from here in terms of the adoption, but only 10% of that, uh, only have price action on 10% of that, that's still a huge growth. But that's not how supply and demand economics work. So the fact of the matter is, I don't want to say it's built in, but in terms of, if you believe in math, and if 2 plus 2 equals 4 regularly, and AKA that's how computers work, is math, and all these blockchains are directly designed around programming and the exact language that math is, then you can trust that with the way adoption's going, that the upside is not small, one. And if somebody gets in now, despite whatever level of dip we have, as long as they're patient, you're not going to be a loser unless you sell out of fear. So I have no fear in sharing the or evangelizing crypto and Bitcoin, because the upside is beyond just the money. I mean, at the end of the day, and Cardano, and you expressed it perfectly there, Dan. At the end of the day, Cardano, Bitcoin, and crypto is not just about making money. If you really look into the projects that you're investing in, and don't just buy Matic because it's going up, and don't buy Cardano because they have a strong community, and you don't buy Bitcoin because it's the new gold, you look at what their use case and their value proposition is, and you realize the underlying nature, the framework of which these are built on, which is philosophy. And not every project, but most of the major ones that are doing something, you'll see that their aim and their target and the practices and the use cases they're implementing, and they're doing it quite well, is to attack problems and make things more transparent, make things more cohesive, make things more economical, make things, I mean, it's across the board better in every regard. The only thing that's negative about this is for people that have existing businesses that are competing with this. So if you're ever wondering why there's FUD on articles, it's because those are funded by people that are thinking, my entire business is about to be completely displaced by this technology that I can't compete with. So there's just so much positivity and wonderfulness and excitement about what's happening. So again, congratulations to everybody that's listening right now, because that means you're at the least bit interested. So you've already won. And the next step, double congratulations to anybody that's already purchased at least 0.001 Bitcoin, or even one. If you made any purchase of any size, you've already won the game and taken that first step. So I can only encourage you from here to spend some time looking into the projects you're interested in. If you hear other people talking about a project, don't just buy because it's going up and other people you respect are looking into it. Try to figure out not only why it's going up, but what are they about? What's the use case here? Like, learn about these projects, because there's so much going on. And don't feel pulled and stretched by trying to be in every single project. If you got $1,000 to invest, pick between 1 and 3 projects. If you got 10,000, sure, get into 4 or 5. If you got 100,000, allocate somewhere between anywhere from up to 10 to 15 or 20, but have it large in part weighted with the safer bets with the larger percentage of your portfolio, and have more speculative bets down in the smaller 5% of your portfolio. And I was watching Crypto Banter the other day, and he was saying that they I forget which coin it was, but they invested such a small portion of their portfolio in this project. And by the end of this last mini bull run within this macro trend, it had ballooned so much that it ended up being like almost 30% of their portfolio. And that happens. And then what happens when you do that? You reallocate, and depending on where things are in the coin market cap ranking system, you can allocate to things that you super believe in and to things that are safer bets. And you just make sure that you are in charge of your money. You're not leaving it in the hands of just YouTube influencers or Twitter Spaces, people you listen to, or the Ray Dalios and the Mark Cubans of the world. You got to take control of your finances so you truly have financial freedom. It doesn't just come because you bought Shiba once, or because you bought Cardano. And I think we're gonna have to not wrap the conversation, but in terms of us hosts and speakers at the top that have been taking charge here, there are 3 or 4 different people that have requested to speak. So right before we dive into that, I do want to extend a final thank you to the hosts, CryptoVet, TA Tim, and Dan. If you click on any of their images above, you can follow them on Twitter. They're all excellent people, but also excellent words of wisdom and thought and introspection about the crypto markets. So definitely give them a follow, and thank you all so much for joining. And now I'm going to start here with Camille, because you were the first one to request. So I'm going to bring you up to speak. I know you sent me some info, and I know you wanted to speak about it. So thank you so much for requesting, and hop in whenever you're ready, Camille.
Thanks a lot, Kelly. Really appreciate it. I'm actually surprised you got to read my message. Anyway, I guess TA Tim, I love your TA, and I guess this question you can help answer. I'm a big fan of candlestick patterns and formations. I know you guys are as well. Just as the 7 o'clock candle closed there, I did notice that's 5 red candles in a row. This is our 6th day. And as far as I can go on my Bybit on TradingView, which was, I think, November 2018, we have never had 6 red days in a row. Now, is this just purely coincidence? Is this something to worry about? What's your guys' take on that?
Sorry, I was turning my mic on. That's something I'm going to have to look back on. That there was a good question put on chat on the stream a couple mornings ago that I'd never looked at either. And I was like, holy crap, there is a pattern there. I love what you're even doing right there, which is what we call back analysis, of looking back and saying, man, is there ever a trend where some of this happens? To honestly give you a good answer, I need to do some back analysis and look. But Kelly, I know you have probably a thought on that as well.
Oh, yes, I do. Sorry, I was shooting Dan a message, thanking him for hopping in.
You're good.
No, that's great. One thing, because you sent this to me, I haven't. I'm actually sitting in a car in the driveway at Jeb's house, so I haven't had a chance to pull up the charts to look. I'm curious, Camille, have you looked? How does that chart play out in terms of? Are you looking? Is this just Heikin-Ashi candles, or is this traditional candles? And the second question is that only on Bybit, or is it across multiple different centralized exchanges as well, not being on derivatives?
Right. So the way I have my trading view set up, and maybe you guys can even answer this, I tried looking at the BLX one, and they're not on the same day count as the perpetual contracts were.
Yeah,
the
so
BLX is average.
The BLX is only going to show you what closed the last day. It's not, so the BLX is not taking into account anything that's happening ever since, I think, so I'm Eastern time. It doesn't show anything past 8 p.m. or something like that.
Yeah, it closes every day, but it's going to be an average of all of the exchanges that it aggregates together in the BLX. So it is going to be better for macro trends. Now, if you're actually trading on Bybit, I would recommend using Bybit's charts specifically for both charting and, if you're actually doing any type of leverage or spot trading, you don't want to be on the Bitstamp chart versus Bybit, because if you'd done that 6 months ago, the Bybit versus Bitstamp like volume liquidity would be completely different than what it is now. So you could have had actual price differences of 1% to 2%, and this is where you have all of the arbitrage people come in.
Yeah. One final thought to throw on.
One more thought for you. You know, just to even keep in mind, I'm going back and looking. I am not finding, and there's a lot to look at. I'm not finding any time with 6 red candles, right?
But last time we did have 5. If you look
Yeah.
at the last time we did have 5, it was the last. There was a couple of sideways movements, and then that was
in May.
high.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. That's the other thing to just remember is that while we currently are looking at 6 red candles right this second, we got a lot of day left before that candle closes. It could definitely turn green.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out. You know, put that in your guys' hands, and appreciate the work you do. Thanks, guys. God bless.
Of course, thank you, and I will follow that up with if historically there's very rare instances where we've had 6 red candles in a row, and so in terms of the likelihood of it, you know, the unlikelihood of having a 7th, that in a way by itself could seem arbitrary, but in context with the greater scope of what's going on in the market, what's going on recently with the expansion and volatility on the Bollinger Bands, in addition to what's happening right now with the drop out of, you know, the lower consecutive lower highs, and then dropping below support at 45, touching down now to the 42 region that Tim very beautifully called for the last week, and everybody was calling him crazy. And now, you know, we're floating right in that area. That also very, very much in line with the spring, or at least the construction of a spring to bullishly exit out of the this Wyckoff accumulation, or stone stepping reaccumulation is another term for it. And so, if that were the case, if there's only been 6 in a row, and we're now on this point where we're at a dip, it's, all these things could constructively add up to furthering the statistical probability that we could explode bullishly out of this. But that being said, price always does, almost sometimes when something is exactly what you think it's going to do, plan for the opposite, because it might do that first and then go the other. So we spoke about this earlier. If 42 is such a surefire thing and everybody's expecting the spring, we very well could have a wick down to 39.5 or somewhere in that region and wash out all these people doing these aggressively. Oh, it's this low I've been planning on, and they throw on a 20x leverage, and there's hundreds of thousands of people that do that, and then they wick them out. They clear up that part of the market, and then it just slingshots faster than they could imagine up, but they're already out because they got liquidated. So I would say right now, and I have done quite a bit of I almost said liquidation trading. I have done that as well. No, I've done a bit of leverage trading, and for me to enter a leverage trade right now, I honestly wouldn't start entering a leverage trade until we broke somewhere above the 53K level, because we're still in this sort of midterm downtrend that very well it could. We have to be on that. Like, I'm very bullish, but it very well could just precipitate, do a retrace up, and then continue with the downtrend and go into a longer mid to long term bear market. We never know what's going to happen. Also, especially going on what's going on, geopolitically right now. Especially also with inflation, the changing in rates, what's going on with Russia and Kazakhstan right now. You never know. So the bull market is very honestly the most obvious thing that's going to happen based on all the metrics, but the metrics don't take into account what's going on around the world. So prepare for it to go either direction. So I'm just saying I would be very not reluctant, but I would be trading more of a sideways, undistinguished direction sort of trend until we start breaking above 53, and then I would get more aggressive about the bull market, fully re-engaging and engaging those leverage longs. Now, when we're talking about spot, yeah, I mean, drop in those spot prices, those dip buys all day long, all the way through here. That's, of course, this is not financial advice, but this is my honest opinion of good entertainment. But yes, I do think that, but just be careful with your leverage. And thank you for that question, Camille. Next, I'm going to bring up my friend here, CryptoRL. He was a great guest speaker about a week or two ago. So I'm happy he's joining back. Hopefully, there he is. So what you got, brother? How you doing? Happy New Year. And what's on your mind?
Hi, Kelly. Yeah, thank you, man. And yeah, cheers, Vet. I was just going to add a little bit of a mention to what you talked about earlier. I think you mentioned my Elliott wave analysis, and thanks for it. But yeah, I have been talking about a 5-wave move down now since the November highs, and I know not many people follow me on Twitter, so you might not have seen it, but you can go back and have a
Hey, follow him on Twitter.
For those of you that don't, click on his face and go
No shame,
depress
shill.
the follow. He's got some great stuff he does on his Twitter, so definitely give him a follow.
But yeah, I think I talked about it in the last Twitter space as well a couple of weeks ago about maybe looking for this 5-wave move and basically being part of a C wave of an ABC that's basically lasted the whole of 2021, which is why we've gone sadwards for basically a whole year. And I think my target was about 42,408 to be specific. And I think on my recent tweet, we hit 42,412. So it was $4 off. You can't, not too far. But
damn it, get good, kid.
I would call the $4 margin there. I would call that you hit it exactly. And,
Well,
even if
I
you're
was going to
50,
call you an expert, but
yeah. Go back to the drawing board, dude. No, spot on, man.
But yeah, I mean, every wave up and down throughout this 5-wave move, it sort of dragged sentiment to extreme lows, because every time we've moved back up, I've seen everyone getting bullish again and bullish again, when I've just been expecting more waves down. And now when we're finally at the bottom, I think we're sort of starting to see the point where people who got in the last year might just be about to capitulate. And when you're at that part of the correction where people start to talk about lower and lower prices until the retrace back up to 60k just comes out of nowhere, and everyone FOMO's back in again, they lose money again.
You know what it is?
Yeah.
It's when Peter Schiff says we've got a good chance of hitting 15k again. I think that means the spring is loaded for some bullish action.
Exactly. And I mean, I think if you look on the metrics as well, now retail are just starting to short again. And how perfect is that? Retail start to short at the bottom of a C5-wave move. That to me is perfect indication, that we're just about there. So I think we'll get that retrace pretty soon. I think you start to see more and more people talk about lower and lower prices, because that's just natural. As we get lower and lower, people like to talk about lower, just like when we get to the top, people like to talk about higher and higher. But I do think the altcoins are going to perform well in that retrace. So, and I don't think that's going to be a bad time to maybe skim some profits, maybe. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to add to my mention earlier from that and the Elliott wave. So cheers, guys.
No, glad you came back up, man. Much appreciated. And like I said, I try to keep up on Twitter as best I can, but yeah, just keep doing shit like that, because I like watching everybody's opinion, because you never know what somebody else's thoughts might stir up in your own, and you might fail to find something else from there. Yeah. So again, thanks.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing. And if anybody is having trouble either imagining what he was talking about or just confused as all hell, I know I was confused. I remember the first probably 5 or 6 months I was in crypto. I made it a point to watch as many crypto YouTubes as I could, and even just random like technical like stock trading analysis and stuff. And I remember I was sitting there, I felt like I was listening to a foreign language I had never even heard of before. So don't worry about that. Definitely check out his Twitter. He actually has an image that he of a chart where it's all drawn out exactly what he's talking about. So definitely go check that out. It's great. And again, CryptoRL, thank you. I know it's late there because you're in Yorkshire, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's late as it can be there. So thank you for joining, and I hope to have you back. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna do 3 more. We got 3 more. I'm gonna shout out real quick. We got Mr. PlanC's in the house. For those of you who don't know, he's got some definitely follow him. I'm gonna invite him to speak. He may or may not speak. I know he just got off a bunch of stuff going on. But he's got, definitely check him out on his Twitter. The real PlanC. He's got incredible technical analysis. A lot of good charting. Fibonacci stuff, on-chain metrics is really, really great stuff. But we'll dive right into, I can't read your name, David Diyan. I'm going to invite you up to speak now, and you can ask whatever question you got, and yeah, we'll take it from there. You ready? Hop in, brother. You gotta make sure you hit that mute button on the bottom because we can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Ah, there you go.
There you are,
All right.
like the Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is David Diyan. I'm from Africa, and I've been in crypto for the last 3 years. And I'm a big fan of Cardano and the ecosystem that is piling up. So I have a few things I would like to mention, and I love this show.
Oh, right on, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining. I'm
Much
super excited.
appreciated.
I'm super excited to hear from somebody that's there, and rather than seeing these talks from, and I love to hear Charles Hoskinson, but it's different to read a paper about news articles about what's going on, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on like what's being implemented and how it's affecting, and even the general sort of vibe and consensus and sentiment about people there and what they're thinking about all this.
Yes, absolutely. So the moment I really started watching the whiteboard videos from Charles, it hit me quickly because I can see how Cardano is more suited not just for the world, but also for Africa specifically. The adoption in Africa, I had someone saying 15 years, 20 years. That's all right. But I'm telling you right now, the adoption in Africa might be way faster than most people think, because what's happening in Africa is most of the infrastructures are built. What's waiting is just a connection, and the connection that is accompanied by individuals who are trying to build things on Cardano. And if you think of the way Cardano was built, it's actually one of the best approach where they sit down and they thought about everything in advance, trying to really come up with a solution that could really be adopted by the masses. Another thing I can tell you is, since I know that I need to be quick, Charles is going to be the next Steve Jobs or the next Elon Musk or even more, because the moment people realize what Hydra is going to do, and if it does it better than I'm thinking, they will be a shock, because this is something that had to happen without these normal ways of doing business with VCs. This is the people's coin. This is what Bitcoin intended, even though I still love Bitcoin. But I believe the Cardano ways of going about building and attracting people to join is absolutely amazing.
You can continue.
Oh, yes, absolutely. The other thing I can say is, look, if I sit in the place of Charles Hoskinson and the organization he's leading, I can see why they are hesitating on speaking about this desk that is running this the muesli swap. Okay, I don't mean to call on people, hey, join, because I'm no financial advice, but let me tell you something. Sunday swap that we're all waiting for, that we all love, that I think is going to do an amazing job. It's going to be the more legitimate way of proving what can be done on Cardano, is amazing. With 2 billion tokens, you compare it with this muesli that is coming up, that is almost like trying, that is not that legitimate because the people did not disclose their name. But this is the perfect example of someone stepping up ahead of time. The Charles and the IOHK, they cannot just go ahead and start talking about it, because we attract more people to it without knowing, having the confidence that this thing is actually going to do good in the end. Moving forward, beside the milk token being 10 million token total maximum supply, you go to liquid, something like liquid that is happening on that exchange. You also realize, oh my goodness, even the vesting schedule might have, within the next 12 months, having the maximum circulating supply under 1 million, which I know it is 365,000 right now. These are going to be the most amazing opportunities in the world that has ever existed. The Cardano system is coming right at the right time, where all indications are pointing to going up. But not only that, where the retail are coming in now, people who are the regular business investors are going to see that if you ask anyone, the coin that has the biggest community of them all is probably Bitcoin and Cardano, or Cardano than Bitcoin. But I do, of course, agree and understand, respect the stand of Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin is such a good solution. What's going to happen is Bitcoin decentralized, Ethereum decentralized, working, but not working that well. There's many things that can be improved. Binance, not decentralized. You go to Solana, I know it can be a subject, but not really that decentralized. The next point that you are looking at is absolutely Cardano. And I want to thank everybody who is in Cardano. Let's keep pushing. Let's keep telling people, educating people about this movement that is going to take place in our lifetime. Thank you.
Oh man, thank you so much
Big
for your
thanks, Dave.
input. Yeah, great. I just sent you a follow on Facebook. Sorry, Facebook. We've already evolved past Facebook, haven't we? I just sent you a follow on Twitter. Shoot me a DM. I'd love to stay in contact with you and chat more about this. Figure out, get you more involved on some future things as well. Great input, and I really appreciate you. And Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Thank you to my friend. I appreciate it too, and everyone listening.
Of course. So we got 3 more requests, and it's in the past we used to do an hour. Now it seems like we're so lively nowadays. Now we're getting to the point where we're doing. It seems like just 2 hours isn't even enough. So we're gonna do
2 hours fine with me. We had a couple hundred people in here, so
yeah, we had a wonderful time, and thank you thank you everybody that's here listening, and again, Happy New Year to everybody. My name's Kelly Kellam. Crypto Vet here is co-hosting with me. This show is called Crypto Answered. We do it every Thursday. I'm kind of toying. I haven't told Crypto Vet yet this, but I'm sure he's gonna be down because he's my roll dog. We do this together. We're gonna try and come up with a couple times, alternate times to do it here and there, because there's a lot of people in Europe where this time isn't the best for them. And a lot of other people that, we're just going to try and pick some other times, maybe also on Thursday, maybe a different day of the week. But we're trying to be adaptable and make sure that not only we get to talk and, coordinate with everybody on here, but also at the end of the day, it's all about connection and sharing thoughts and knowledge and hearing different points of view. So with that, we'll get these last 3 sort of questions. And we'll try to wrap it somewhere here in the next 10 or 15 minutes. And maybe we'll get a closing thought from the illustrious and enigmatic PlanC, because I know he's got a lot of thoughts on it. Maybe a hopeful little tidbit based on what he's seeing about where we could be going. So before we get there, I'll bring up Crypto Fritz. You can it's the wrong button. Add a speaker. There we go. Crypto Fritz, you can hop up now and ask a question, and then we'll get to Steven, and then we'll get to Forbes, and then we'll be wrapping it up. You can go ahead and jump in there, Crypto Fritz. Just unmute yourself.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it sounded like we were talking about Cardano. Sorry, I kind of jumped in here at the last.
We started with the market, then we went through altcoins, then we went through some micro caps, and then we had Dan from CryptoCapitalVenture jump in. So we went the Cardano route. We can talk about whatever, man.
Okay, well, I was just kind of going off emotions and everything of this time of year. Man, last year I was sitting kind of in the same boat, or not in the same boat at all. Sorry. I mean, I had $1,700 in, and I was like, oh, I might make it or might not. And things weren't looking good, and I just eventually held on. And over the past year, it's changed my life. So if there's anybody out there like questioning about their position, just hold on. I mean, that's all I gotta really offer, is that crypto is not going to go away. Like, this is real, and it's very important that we all hang in there. It's changing lives across the globe. And not just financially. I mean, you look at things like, I don't know if y'all have seen Floki Inu or not, but I mean, they're building schools, and a lot of other cryptos are. I mean, it's just remarkable. And that's all I got to offer, is that this is actually happening. There's going to be big volatility. Maybe one thing we do have to kind of look at, though, is like the rate hikes in the States coming in March. I think the Feds are going to raise the rates, and there's really no telling how hard that's going to hit. Obviously, it's going to hit us. But I don't know if I would necessarily pull out. I might pull out a little bit to protect myself. But as far as...
I mean, at this rate, you can just never pull out. Just hold, and you'll be fine.
Exactly. I mean, but, I mean, it's just... in the end, I mean, we're all going to be filthy. What, 3.5% of the world right now holds crypto?
Bingo. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Then that was kind of the point I was making earlier on the adoption curve. If anybody's worried, at the end of the day, if you buy in, even if you bought in at $68,000 and we're down right now, at the end of the day, it's all about patience, because the way supply and demand dynamics work, at the end of the day, or at the end of the market cycle that you're in, whether it's midterm or long term, everything's cyclical. So even if somebody bought, think about this: if somebody bought at the very peak of the 2017 bull cycle, right into 2018, I think the peak was right in January. Uh, then the market dropped, and for the people that sold at 3,000, they lost 85% of everything they invested.
Yeah.
For people that bought at 19,700, which was the peak, and it dropped to 3,000, if they just held, now they'd be, at one point they were 3.5x or 3.25x their money at a point in the cycle, and even right now they're still 2x their money. So in 4 years, although there is volatility, they're still 2x their money. For people that bought at 19,000 and then they believed in it when it dropped to 3,000 and they put in the same amount, well, they're probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 11 to 14x. So at the end of the day, you just really need to just believe in what you're doing and look at the market cycles. Look, when in doubt, zoom out on the chart and see that these fluctuations are nothing. And in reality, the market volatility nowadays actually isn't a thing to discuss, because it's no different than if you go on my Twitter and scroll down. I tweet quite a bit throughout every day. If you scroll down, it might be I think two or 3 days ago, there's a graphic there that shows the volatility of other major asset classes in 2021, and look at the volatility of Bitcoin compared to oil. Oil was more volatile than Bitcoin was. So is volatility something that's even a point of, not even argument, a point of concern? And when we're looking at the volatility of world markets, right, multi-trillion dollar markets. So I think you're right. We know the future is actually no longer the future. Right now, the future is now. We are basically a part of precipitating the change to the digital era, the digital revolution, the digital industrial revolution that's happening. And it's scary because a lot of people we know that are adverse to it or ignorant to it or just have heard all the wrong things about it. Those people in 5 years, they're going to be asking you how and where and what to buy. That's just a fact. So just hold fast and keep DCAing when you can, and don't, when it drops past where your entry was, that's okay. Either strengthen lower your average buy price by buying at that lower price, or just hold, and you're going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to look into the project. If you believe in the project, it makes it much easier to hang on to it. If you know this is a real solid project, just like Cardano was last year and still is. It's remarkable, and so is Floki. I know
with Cardano is a good point, because a lot of people right now are wondering why Cardano is not doing anything. Well, that's a very myopic and short-sighted view, because is Cardano not doing anything? Because even though it had a fairly nice peak in the 310 or whatever it was when it peaked, even with the drop, it's still 17x from the beginning of 2021. So did it really not do anything, or are we're so used to giant gains every month that we're like, it's not doing anything right now. Amazon now, I want my stuff now. Just be a little patient, and it will serve you more than anything you could ever hope for.
It changed my life last year. I mean, so it's damn sure done a lot in 1 year. I mean, it's incredible.
Absolutely.
But yeah, sorry. All right, I'll let somebody else talk.
No worries, man. I appreciate you coming on, and I'm happy you dove in and you had some life-changing circumstances being a part of crypto. And thank you again, and happy New Year to you, my brother.
Happy New Year.
So we got two. I'm just going to ask that nobody else requests, because we're going to try and wrap this up. We started at 8 o'clock. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 more people. So if we can, I hate to do this to you. We do this every Thursday. I'm going to get to the 5 people that are currently on here. But let's try to keep this to either a more pointed question or a more pointed comment, just so we can get through everybody. And then we can move on from there. Let's see. We're going to go to Steven now. He's next. So hop in whenever you get on, when it connects, and unmute yourself. And what's your thoughts?
Hey, man. Thank you very much. I do just have a quick question, so we'll keep it, short and sweet. I did want to say the
Of course,
last
brother.
guy, that's nice to hear, because I'm kind of where he was at last year, a few $1,000. Anyway, my question's about like trading tools. So I've been looking at token metrics, and that's like anywhere from $20 a month to $1,000 a month. Like, what tools for traders to, either find new coins, or what coins, or manage their portfolio, like coin stats, things like that. What do y'all use? What do y'all recommend? Some of these paid sites that you can sign up for, do you recommend them? Are there better options? So,
Of course, that's a great question, and it's honestly it's a great spot your mind is in to even have this question, to that you're looking to fulfill an answer on. And I would say yes, token metrics is phenomenal. I will say that when you're starting to, this is 100% dependent on what your income level is, how much you're investing, if you have another job, or if you're trying to jump straight into doing this as a living. And if that's the case, I first would recommend that don't do that, because it's more of a learning curve than you'd like to believe. Because when you first start trading, you might have 10 winning trades in a row and then want to quit your job. And then you realize all of a sudden, that streak doesn't last, even for the best trader on the planet. So I would definitely recommend, if you get to the point where you want to have a paid service, token metrics is phenomenal. And I wouldn't start just because you pay the pro level doesn't mean you're going to trade like a pro. So start with whatever the basic package is first, if you're going to do that. I would actually recommend before that. There is so much content out there, especially with not the advent, because it's been around for 20 years, especially with access to things like Google and YouTube. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's one YouTuber that I watched years ago, and I actually still check in on pretty regularly. I don't know I forget his name, but his YouTube channel is Crypto Love. And he does very short videos. They're about 10 minutes. And he actually uses token metrics in a lot of his videos now. And he highlights projects that are flagged on token metrics to be coins that are going to pop soon based on their signals. But he's actually the one that signaled to me when I first got in. And I'll admit, I went in deaf, blind, and dumb. And I was doing what I actually recommend people not do. But I was just going in. I had no idea what was going on. And I was watching these. I found this guy's channel. And luckily, I found the right channel, because he pointed me in the direction back in 2017, to get in on Cardano, to get in on I can't even tell you how many different coins. There's at least eight or 10 that all were just straight up winners. And that's not always going to be the case. So my point there being is, don't find one YouTube channel and think that this is your financial advisor. Find a couple different people you like that have different perspectives. Some on TA, some bullish TA, some bearish TA, different altcoin stuff. And if you're interested in altcoin, I actually was talking with somebody about this earlier today. When you're looking at an altcoin, one of the things you can do, if you're interested in altcoin, just type that altcoin ticker in on YouTube and get a general vibe of what different people are saying about it that are YouTubers. That's just a starting point. That's not your decision point. And then from there, go and research the project. Go check out the website, for that project, and then try to find their community on Telegram and other spots, and just get a general vibe for what's going on, and then figure out what's on their roadmap, figure out what's coming up within that project and how they're affiliated, what their ethos and their philosophy is, and you very quickly can get a really good idea if this is something that's just a pump project, or if there's some sort of long term game on there. And if it's just a pump project, that's fine. Know it and make your play and get out. But don't invest 2/3 of your life savings in a project because you think it's going to pump, and then you're going to take that pump profit and then transition that into Bitcoin, because I feel like it's just Murphy's law. Anytime that you try to over bet on something because you're going to win, that's when you lose. So do play it smart and do some research, get some and come on Twitter Spaces like you are here. You're doing exactly the right thing. And at the end
Twitter
of the day,
Spaces is what I was going to say. Plus
yeah,
Token Metrics, give it a go. It does have a free trial. You can actually do a couple different things within Token Metrics to say, do you want to allocate towards more riskier, newer projects with higher potential? So it's pretty cool to look at it. I don't use it anymore. No reason why I stopped. I just had too many other things on my plate. But yeah, everything Kelly said, bueno.
yeah. But yeah, thank you for that question. I don't mean to cut you off here. I just know we're trying to make sure we can get to the people that are on here, and then definitely check back in, and follow us all on Twitter. All the people that were speaking, we post a lot of content for free, and then I'm also part of the Crypto Jeb YouTube show. We do a morning show every day, about an hour and a half, 2 hours, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. But obviously, you can watch it at any point during the day. That's just Crypto Jeb. Crypto Vet also has a YouTube channel he does periodically, and he does a lot of great content. And then PlanC here, you can check his Twitter. He's also got great metrics all the time with what's kind of outlining what's underlying nature of what's going on the markets, so you can get a better idea if the markets drop. Is it really dropping, or is it just setting up for a bullish move, or is it dropping and it's setting up for a bearish move? All those things are important. So thank you so much, Stephen, and we will see you on one of our next episodes, my friend. We'll have you up again to speak. Now I'm going to bring up. Let's see, we got. I think there was two more that had already been on here. We got this L. Come on up, Mr. L. There you go.
All right. Thank you for having me, by the way. Just want to say that first.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
go ahead. Sure. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
I just wanted to basically ask something that I've been thinking about lately. All of us who are sort of, I wouldn't say veterans, but who have had a couple years in crypto, we all understand that any asset, whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, at a certain point, they start to diminish in returns, right? Each cycle slowly brings down the percentage of gain. And as we're seeing right now with this sort of accumulative phase wrapping up for Bitcoin and Ethereum, we're seeing a lot of rotation of liquidity into a lot of these brand new layer-centric alternatives. I'm wondering, a lot of the future investors, because as you guys were saying, like 3-4% of the world is actually even touching crypto. When we get to a point where we're at like half of first world country populations are invested, will we see basically sideways for all the blue chips that we consider great today and still solid investments today? And all these brand new cryptocurrencies will be where all the buy volume is going. Like 10 years from now, will the new beginner of crypto, will those newbies in the future even touch or buy Ethereum? Just like someone new to the stock market wouldn't be going straight to like gold.
I think for sure at some point the markets and volatility are going to suppress, but every asset still has a bear and bull cycle, right? When you look at the Dow Jones going all the way back to 1895 to where we are now, we've only gone up for over 100 years, but we've had little spots where we've had little bear markets, right? So as time's gone on, we're just going to have less volatility. And right now, Bitcoin is compared to the US dollar or whatever fiat currency. In time, it may not be that may not be so in the future, right? So what will be the volatility swing in comparison? Not quite sure yet. The whole market is still young, or asset class is still young as a whole.
And
yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly add one more thing to it. It's just more like will we get to a certain point where, just like how we have gold, right, where gold hasn't really made any drastic performance changes, and same goes for majority of commodities, right? So are we going to reach a point where the blue chip, some of the stuff that we still consider a great investment, and there's obviously a lot of growth left for Ethereum, for example, will we see a point where these big pieces of, I guess, buy volume that still gets rotated into, will it be sideways whilst all the brand new, the Facebooks of cryptocurrency in the future, is that where all the new liquidity will go? And will investors in the future even consider those things? Or do you think, as you said, it's still going to be up in general? It won't just go sideways despite an uptrend?
Well, I think at the end of the day, a lot of it's going to have to do with, right now, I think there's unfortunately more speculative investment in a lot of these coins than there is, especially within the retail market. They're not, the majority of the retail market isn't out there, reading white papers and trying to play out exactly what the use cases are and how that's comparable in terms of a competitive market within the general crypto ecosystem. However, there is obviously a lot more big money players coming involved. And despite what I just said about retail, I think as knowledge base grows and awareness of what, I forget who brought it up earlier, as people start to become aware that this isn't just like us all trading on Pokemon cards and Beanie Babies and some speculative, fad investment where
Don't
we're,
make fun of my Pokemon cards.
pump and dumps and all this sort of stuff. It's actually, there are absolutely incredibly intricate and economically and geopolitical, biopolitical. It's changing the entire game. Even like something as simple that is completely misunderstood, like NFTs, where people are wondering why this perceptively low graphic, low art characteristic, avatar that looks like it's from, a poorly constructed avatar of a video game from 1991 is selling for $400,000. They don't realize that's not what an NFT is. That's just happens to be what's made it popular. And in a way, the value has to do with them demonstrating an incredible use case. At the end of the day, and I'm using NFTs as an example of how far the different parts of the market are going to be developed that we can't even understand, is that the beauty of NFTs is that NFTs are to everything as what Bitcoin is to, verifiable scarcity of an asset. NFTs are verifiable scarcity and uniqueness of a singular item, and that could be any item. At some point, I think medical records are going to become NFTs. When you sell your car, you're not going to trade the car and go to the DMV to transfer out registration. No, you're going to have NFT with the ownership of the car. Same thing with the house. Your house deed is going to be an NFT, and I'm using that as a metaphor on the crypto market as a whole, because I think as the market gets more developed and it starts to become more part of the zeitgeist and part of the mainstream and the mainstream psychology, understanding that it's not just a fad, but there are incredible use cases that are going to be implemented and widely used and at some level more understood. I think it's not going to be so much as like, people going to the stock market and not investing in gold. I think it's going to be more that these infrastructure rails, which especially these layer ones like Cardano, eGold, Tezos, Ethereum, AVAX, Solana, etc., Cardano. These are essentially infrastructure rails and foundational structures that entire ecosystems of technology are going to be built on. And with that, people are going to become more aware of that. And, I think it's, to answer your question, I think it's hard to say, because I don't think I think as the crypto market develops, people are going to see, although it may, it's kind of like one of these things is not like the other. The crypto market is nothing like the stock market in actuality, because it's more like a market of giant industrial ecosystems, and in this case, they're technological ecosystems. So there's no way to really tell what the retail sentiment and knowledge is going to be on these things as they're developed and how people are investing in them, or if they're just investing in them like when people invest in FANG stocks. But I think that's going to be something that's going to play out over time, and we'll have to watch, because based on what the retail sentiment and understanding of these things are, might change how we invest in them. and might not. But I think that's something that's yet to be determined. But that's a great question, and I appreciate you. And I hope you come back for another Twitter Spaces and ask another question. I'm going to shout out real quick. We got another awesome guest speaker that just popped in. I had him on. We had him on last time as well. Matthew Hyland. If anybody hadn't followed this guy, definitely go to his Twitter right now. He's got a number. I mean, all day long, every day, incredible charts. Where he's doing some really great, very understand, especially for whether you're an advanced trader or a newbie, incredible breakdowns in very understandable ways of exactly what's going on in small, in macro and micro trends in the market, so you can get just a snapshot understanding of what's going on. How you doing, Mr. Matthew? Thanks for joining.
What's up, Kelly? How you doing? How's the conversation going tonight?
It's been phenomenal, man. We started at 8.
My dog's
Planned on
barking.
ending in an hour.
I'm sorry.
No worries, man. Yeah, we've been rolling 2 hours and 20 minutes now. We had some great different guests in here so far, and I'm happy you popped in here, my brother. I think I got a question for you. We started with this, but I'm sure at this point we've had a lot of rotation in the listener base.
Yeah.
But we started with talking generally about what's going on with the market. In terms of the higher low setup. Potentially Wyckoff, but potentially stone stepping, reaccumulation. Are we building a spring? Are we looking for a 39 level? Do you think the 42 is going to hold? Is it just about what's your sort of thoughts immediately on what's exactly what would you put your money on what's playing out?
There's a lot of things going on. The 39K area would be that's the previous low, so you wouldn't want to go below that area, obviously. And then there is I'm sure people have seen it, but it kind of looks similar to the May to July little downtrend that we had, where there was that pop in the middle.
I just tweeted that out earlier.
Yeah,
I did
but
too.
there's still the bump and run, which is still valid as of now. If it becomes invalidated, I'll obviously tweet it out. It's still technically above the resistance of that trend line. So, I mean, right now there's a lot of stuff going on, and we just need more clarity, I feel like, because it could probably go either direction, obviously, right now. But I would like to see, if it does decide to go lower, you'd obviously want that 39 to 40K area to hold as support, because that would still be a higher low, which in a macro trend point of view would still mean that's bullish. But if you put in a lower low, I would probably think it would probably test then down near 30K. So we'll just have to see what happens, really.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, that was it's good to hear. Even though, regardless of my own experience and my own sort of estimation of what's going on in the market, it's so refreshing to have somebody else see the same thing and not feel crazy. So I'm glad to hear we're seeing basically the exact same things here. But at the same time, I think you'll agree with this. The fact that we're seeing the same thing means there's a lot of people seeing the same thing. So it begs the question, if there's some sort of understanding of that, is the market going to shake us out as well in terms of going beyond our limits of what we think? If 39K is our threshold for when we think we're actually breaking market structure and starting, essentially the first true steps of understanding it's a bear market, because now we have a lower low on a midterm trend. Is that just going, is it going to fake us out with a super scary bear trap, beyond what we could comprehend, and then shoot up? I don't know.
I've always been open to that. I've talked to other people over the last few weeks and months about it. I didn't think it was very likely, so that's why I didn't talk about it. But I don't think, if it does go below that 39K area, I think it does do damage, but I don't think it just would mean that it'd probably take longer to get reached before we reach the top, because then it would probably be like another, few months before we'd have to bounce. But obviously, if it did get that low, you absolutely would not want to see that 30K level break. If that broke, then it's possible that it would go down to probably near 20K. But the thing that I'm like still thinking about is that the cycles, because we didn't have the blow off top at all. Because if you think about it, like when you have a blow off top, like in 2017, it went up from 10K to 20K and then back down to 10K like within a few weeks, I believe. So that was like right off the bat, you had a 50% correction because most of that trading was like just, off of the euphoria. So I don't see like why we would have to have an 85% correction again. I remember I tweeted out a few months ago, probably back in I think August maybe, that it wouldn't surprise me if there was another 50% correction in this bull market, because we already had one, so it wouldn't be something that's new. I thought it would be after breaking 64K. Like let's say we went to 100K, maybe even like 120, then it would pull back to 60. So I didn't think it would be like in this range, but I don't think it's anything we haven't seen yet. So it wouldn't be something that's out of the norm, because we've already experienced a 53% correction. So another one wouldn't be out of the norm, I guess, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know if he wants to or is willing to, but PlanC, do you have any thoughts on what's going on in terms of what we're just talking about?
Yeah, for sure, guys. Really appreciate the kind words you said there, and Kelly, and happy to try and add a little bit to the conversation. Definitely something I'm trying to wrap my head around as well. Like this cycle has been, it's been unique in different ways. But yeah, what I'm working on, what I've been working on the last few days is actually going through all the on-chain data and categorizing different ways of looking at it, and kind of having a way of referencing kind of where we are in a condensed way. So I kind of set up different categories like supply side, demand side, supply scarcity, HODL strength, leverage, network activity, and then combining different on-chain metrics to represent those different categories, so that there's ways of kind of seeing, okay, what's going on like as a snapshot. So I'm working on creating a daily report that I put out that's digestible for just the average person that doesn't understand all the on-chain, but they can understand a 0 to 100 score in a category and what that means. So what I've noticed from kind of that exercise is, so what I've done is the all-time high for that metric, I put that as 100 on the range, and then the all-time low I put as a 0, right? And then you can kind of reference where you are on that day between the low and the high. And for each metric, I kind of have different lengths of time. Some are going back 10 years, some are going back just a year or two, depending on what makes sense. And then I did different moving averages. But what I noticed is we don't have a lot of people, like relatively speaking, the sell pressure is actually not that high. It's really not. Like like as far as, because I did like the people selling at a basically profit taking is people selling at a profit, so profit taking, and then capitulation selling, people selling at a loss. So there's those two metrics, and then if you combine them, that's like the total sell pressure on the network. And basically it's really not, relatively speaking, high at all. So there's not like a crazy amount of selling. The problem is there's a very low amount of demand side to the market through the on-chain data. Like I'm seeing not a crazy amount of supply side selling, but I'm just not seeing a very much demand side. All the on-chain metrics are basically showing that like we have extreme depression in the demand side of the equation of Bitcoin. But at the same time, there's
it seems like that's if forgive me if I'm wrong, but I would take that as incredibly bullish that we're holding where we're at without. I mean, we're not having a lot of buying or selling. It just seems bullish that we're holding where we're at. With I guess this just has to do a bit with the liquid supply, but it seems bullish, but scary.
That's kind of what I was going to get to is like. There's definitely a lot of on-chain metrics that are bearish, and there's a lot that are extremely bullish. But the other category I've been looking at is to do with like the fundamental value long-term of Bitcoin, and I have some metrics related to that. And like, yeah, when it comes to illiquid supply, different ways, like the Will Clemente's supply shock ratio, which is just like the illiquid supply versus the rest as a ratio. And then I also did the basically the highly liquid supply, which the highly liquid, it's more likely to be sold. Like those wallets, historically speaking, have higher records of selling relative to how much they hodl. And both ways you cut it, we're at all-time highs when it comes to the scarcity of Bitcoin. And then also the hodl strength, like on the hodl strength score, we're at an 86. And the hodl strength score is basically just a ratio of the short-term holders versus the long-term holders compared to
Oh, I don't want to lose you.
So, oh, sorry, can you hear me? Sorry. Oh,
You're kind of cutting in and out the
oh,
last minute.
yeah, but can you hear me?
It's still breaking up.
Oh, shoot.
No, I heard that.
But no, it sounds incredible what you're doing, you know, with I don't want to say indexing, but taking across. And this is one of the things for anybody that's new or trying to really dive in and understand technical analysis, whether it be on chain or charting, is you don't ever use one indicator, you don't use one chart, you don't use a one on-chain metric, because there's plenty of times where one indicator or one metric will scream bullish or buy, and then you look at three others and it's like, I don't think so. And so the skill and the art here is, and it comes up to each person, because you'll be able to see different things with your experience and with your just what your comprehensive sort of understanding and innate sort of understanding when you see something where things kind of jump out at you like the Matrix almost, where you see correlations and regular pattern, not only patterns on a chart, but you see patterns between when this indicator is doing this and this is signaling this and this other indicator is starting to print this. It gives you sort of an indication, a much better indication at least, of foreshadowing moves. And that's what real good investing and good trading is about, is rather than calling a move after it's happened, you can start seeing, like right now, everybody, especially, on the Crypto Jeb show, people sometimes call us moon boys. It's like, no, like we're showing you guys the bearish possibilities in every episode, but we're showing you the likelihood that right now, every metric we're seeing, not every, but I would say 95% out of 100 of metrics we're seeing are screaming, I cannot believe the price is at this level because of illiquid supply and the supply shock, and then the MVRV score, and then you got the what was it, the RVT ratio on the Woobull. I mean, everything is just saying this is kind of spectacular that the price is holding this low with the strongest bullish on-chain sentiment that I've ever seen. And the price, it honestly screams a little bit like there's a little bit of not a little bit, but a bit of market suppression going on, but indecision, because we are between that, essentially the whole 2021 until now, we've been ranging from 35,000 to 60,000 essentially.
Right now, right now too, because the price is dropping, the weekly, the 2-week, and the monthly RSI now are all below the May to July level. So that's like a bullish divergence if it once it closes. So like that's how like low the RSI is right now.
Yeah, it's just bizarre, but it's beautiful. I did a jokingly but serious my own sort of recreation of the fear and greed index, where I reprinted it as called the smart money index, because if you go back and you look at there's a fear and greed sort of heat map printed on the price action chart, and it shows, anytime we get in the extreme fear area, below 15, 13, 9, and you look at where that is on the price map in the last year and a half, 2 years, I'm talking incredible price action follows it. So some people see this extreme fear and they're like, they see that as an oscillation on that chart, that this means don't buy. It's like, no, like this means, hey, it's extreme fear. So Warren Buffett's saying there's blood on the streets. go that's when you go and make the buy. You don't make the buy. All these people that they say they're going to buy at 40K and then it drops to 40K. They go, oh, I'm going to wait for it to drop a little further, and then it goes opposite direction. And then they buy at 65K, and then it goes and then it drops again, and then they lose their butt. It's like, no, you set your plan months ago. You said you're going to buy at 40K. When it gets there, buy. You don't wait for that extra $100. You had your target. Take your plan. Go with it. I think you're back in there now, PlanC.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna ask
yeah,
you.
I'll be.
No, I was gonna ask you what's the exchange balance looking like right now? I'm not sure if you have it in front of you. I was just curious.
I haven't looked at it last couple of days, but it's very similar to the highly liquid supply. Basically, they're very similar metrics, and yeah, it's not at an all-time high, but it's pretty close. Like it was like 93 or something like that on my range thing. So yeah, it's pretty close. But yeah, just to give people an idea, like the amount of capitulation selling that we're seeing over the last like 2 days here or over the last day compared to what we saw, back in like the real capitulation event of the year. That we had coming out from the on the major drop into the multiple bear market or multiple month mini bear market. I mean, within 2 days, like May 19th, May 20, we saw $7.5 billion of losses being sold, like capitulation losses. So people selling at a loss. The network as a whole lost $7.5 billion versus yesterday, 1.3 billion. So yeah, it's not like a crazy amount. When we came down on December 4th from a recent high of 69 or whatever, that we saw 3 billion on a single day capitulation. So this capitulation we saw yesterday, within the last 24 hours, what we've seen is about a third as bad as original capitulation when we were coming down from the high. So yeah, I would. And there's no one taking profits at this point. Like the profits have been drained out. Like people have had their chance to take profits over the last, weeks and months here. So I just think like there's not a lot of sell pressure. This is probably like one more last capitulation. We've seen these on these huge corrections where there's initial like mass capitulation event on a day or two. There's a couple weeks where it's like a little bit here and there, and then you have another major one, and that's usually the end of the kind of accumulation phase of the cycle. So yeah, I mean, obviously everything's possible. We go below, like you guys were talking about, if we go below, 39 or whatever, like, yeah, you'll probably see more capitulation. But if we stay in these price ranges we're in right now, like, I just don't know how many people are left that have weak hands at this point. Like, it seems like it's drying up, and the HODL ratios and the liquid supplies and the scarcity, all those metrics are looking really good. The fundamentals of the long chain, on chain data. So that's all what I'll add, and I'll leave it at that. But I watch a lot of times like just like how, relatively speaking, how much selling is taking place and what types of sellers are each day. Like, are they selling profit taking is high or losses? And this is nothing out of the ordinary. We've had, just within the last month, this is the fourth time we've had this much selling of this degree in a 24-hour period. So it's not like crazy amount of capitulation we're seeing.
What's crazy? What's crazy is when you just asked that, Matthew, I pulled up the balances on exchanges, and I'm looking right now, and it's interesting because it shows on December 21st it was quite low, 1.69 million, and when we had that massive drop, obviously we there was a little bit of an uptick, but it was still quite low comparatively, from October and August. But the funny thing is the uptick isn't it looks big on the chart when you zoomed in, but it only went from 1.69 to 1.779. So it only went up 10 million. And now it actually dropped on January 4th. It dropped very decently, and which is before this drop that we just had on the 5th. And now there's, a negligible, if even noticeable, uptick in inflows onto exchange in terms of exchange balances. So again, this is like one of those it's like it's screaming. There's any possibility now for I don't know what it would be to have a sudden influx of people wanting to transfer to exchanges, but there's so many people holding right now, even new holders. It's surprising to see that there's a lot of new holders that have kind of gained wind that, okay, I don't sell. And that's incredibly inspiring. And I think, and I kind of speculated on this about 6 months ago, that there have been innumerable, especially within the last year, of how much big money had gotten into crypto, Bitcoin more specifically, in 2021. That of course we're waiting on the sidelines because of the incredible bullish market. They're not going to get in and then wait for a drop, even if it reverses the other way, and then I'll have a negative balance on their balance sheet, even though the price is above it, just because of the way the institutional balance sheets work. So I'm sure there's a lot of institutions and big money players and pension funds and whatever it is that have just been waiting on the sidelines. And so even if, like you said, even if we did drop past 39, I know that there are a lot of hungry eyes that are looking for any opportunity to buy in. So in a way, it's like there's these, I don't want to say built in because nothing's guaranteed, but a lot of anchors that are preventing some catastrophic drop other than massive world events, kind of like what happened in March 2019, 2020. But in that case, it's not like it would just be Bitcoin. It would be world markets would be taking that same thing. So it's not like you'd be like, oh, Bitcoin dropped. It'd be like, oh, the whole world market is dropping. So I think that at that point, it's kind of irrelevant. But all in all, we're so bullishly set up right now, and I'm super excited about it, man.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for all your insight, PlanC, Matthew, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you all. And I hate to have to wrap it, but I know I got to wake up because I gotta do the show prep for the Crypto Jeb show.
I know we got
6
150 plus in here. Thanks, everybody. It's much appreciated. Glad you are all enjoying it. We'll definitely have to set up more times.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And for those that requested, I wasn't able to get to. I truly apologize. Please,
he's OG. He'll understand.
Oh yeah, I sent him a private message. Yeah, feel free.
He's got a face for radio, so we'll get him on next time.
Feel free to shoot me a message if you have any questions. Definitely click on our faces on Crypto Vet here, Matthew Hyland, PlanC, the other people that were on earlier, Dan from CryptoCapitalVenture, Blake, also everybody. Like honestly, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Again, my name's Kellam. You've been listening to Crypto Answered. Thank you so much, everybody. Happy New Year, and we'll be seeing you. I know Crypto Vet recorded this. We likely will be either releasing it on the Spotify playlist with Crypto Jeb or through Crypto Vet's YouTube. But thank you again, everybody. We are on every Thursday, and we'll be seeing you around. So keep trading, keep it bullish, and keep your heads up. Big love to everybody. Thank you again.